Chapter 256. As he walked, he felt like the path wasn't right. Old Wu, if I'm not wrong, this doesn't seem to be where the secret techniques are stored. Lin Fan asked curiously. He had been out for 2 months. If his memory was normal, he should be walking right and not left. Old Wu smiled. Young master, those are some normal techniques. How can old master's treasures be placed there? Oh, Lin Fan nodded his head. He felt like it was a little mysterious. Why hadn't father mentioned it before? Was it because he was too useless? That was impossible. Father's love for him wouldn't be so weak. He definitely wanted to wait for him to get married and become an adult before passing all these to him. Thinking about it, he convinced himself right away. Young master, when old master was young, he encountered countless dangers. There were even a few times when he was certain to die. But old master relied on his own strength to fight back and survive. So, these secret manuals are all old master's memories. Old Wu sighed and suddenly began to recall the past. Lin Fan was curious. My father was so amazing when he was young. So how did he fight back? Old Wu smiled and didn't say anything. He just smiled and let young master guess. Naturally, he wouldn't say what he experienced when he was young. Most of the times he fought back were stains that he couldn't bear to look back on. Now that old master had become such an expert, how could he say such things that would damage his face? Very quickly. Why are we in my father's reading room? Lin Fan asked. Father couldn't have placed the secret manuals in the study room, right? It felt safer than placing them in the secret manuals loft. Old Wu smiled and pushed open the door. He stood at the side and said, Young master, come in. Lin Fan walked in with curiosity. He had been to his dad's study a few times, but he hadn't seen anything good. Could it be that there was a secret compartment in the study, and the secret compartment stored secret manuals? If that was the case, then it made sense. Old Wu walked to the corner of the wall and pressed on the protruding granule with his finger. There was the sound of the wall moving. Instantly, in Lin Fan's sight, the wall moved to the left and right, and a tunnel appeared in front of him. Young master, go in, Old Wu said. Lin Fan walked in. When he stepped on the first step, it was like he sensed something and the tunnel lit up. Aya, you scare me. My little heart is about to burst. If Old Wu hadn't told him that the secret manual was hidden here, he would have wondered if his father had some special hobbies, such as capturing some indescribable things and conducting secret chambers, tying them up, Lolas, Shoda, Avi, etc. Then, he frantically shook his head. What am I thinking? Of course, this was just wishful thinking. How could such a thing happen? If his father knew what he was thinking, he would definitely slap him into the wall. He might not even be able to dig himself out. Old Wu noticed that young master's expression was a little off. He was probably thinking about something. Was he shocked by his own family's heritage? Perhaps there really was such a possibility. The outcome of this city defense battle was unknown. He might live, or he might die here. Thus, handing over what should be handed over to the young master could be considered as passing on the legacy. Very soon, Lin Fan and Old Wu arrived at the end of the secret chamber. There were many square holes in the walls, and each hole contained a secret manual. Young master, old master's life's work is all here. You could take them away. Old Wu said. He was thinking about asking young master to take the secret manuals and leave. He shouldn't stay in U City. If there really was a conflict, there might be a huge problem. Lin Fan looked at the secret manuals on the wall and was totally attracted. The level here was definitely really high. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a special place to store them. When he was outside, he would have a headache over a cultivation technique. But now it wasn't a problem. His family had secret manuals, so why did he have to find them outside? Lin Fan picked up a secret manual. Source technique. He didn't understand what it said at all, but it was okay. It didn't matter whether or not he understood it. Anyway, it was fine as long as the small support system could understand it. Then, he put down this secret manual and went to look at another secret manual. Cold City 4 Pinnacles. Damn, another one that he didn't understand. Forget it, it wasn't a problem. He just wanted to take a look. Young master, you might not understand these secret manuals, but as long as you study them, it won't be a problem. Why not let me wrap them up and bring them away? Old Wu said. Lin Fan asked curiously. Old Wu, why would I bring them away? Aren't they all at home? If I need them in the future, I could just come back to take a look. Why would I bring them away? Old Wu was slightly stunned, and then he recovered. Luckily, he reacted quickly, otherwise something would have happened. I heard that young master became the Martial Path Mountain sect leader in Jiang City. Since you have already established a sect, then naturally you lack secret manuals. Why not bring them back and make them the core techniques of a sect? Isn't that better? Old Wu said. Old Wu, you know about what happened in Jiang City? Lin Fan asked curiously. He didn't tell anyone about it. So how did Old Wu know? Old Wu smiled. Zhang Tianshan is Old Master's good friend, and he writes to say that young master has become the Martial Path Mountain sect leader. I'm really proud of young master. Lin Fan shook his head. He didn't expect that Zhang Tianshan would write a letter to report to his father. That makes sense. However, there is no rush. Let me take a good look. Old Wu, what level are these secret manuals at? He was really curious and felt that they should be really high level. Old Wu said, Young master, the source technique that you read is at 5-element realm. The Cold City 4 pinnacle is at void realm. Lin Fan was filled with questions. What was going on? Why did he feel like he didn't understand a single word? Old Wu could tell that the young master was confused. He smiled and said, The young master might not be clear about these realms. Let this old servant explain it to the young master. The martial path is split into 12 realms. These 12 realms are the foundation. But even if they are the foundation, some people might not be able to reach perfection in their lifetime. Above the 12 is Master Realm. One needs to open up the conception and governing meridians and open up the yin and yang ocean. Then it is Grandmaster Realm. For normal people, if they don't have a fortuitous encounter, it will be tough for them to reach such a realm. Above that is God Essence Realm. This realm is a huge difference, a gap that can't be crossed. One can absorb spiritual energy from heaven and earth. Then it is Void Realm. This realm is much more magical. One can punch space and open up space to store things. Above Void Realm is Heaven and Earth 5-element realm, commonly known as 5-element realm. One can use the power of heaven and earth for one's own use. As Old Wu spoke, he stopped. What is next? Lin Fan was pumped up. He didn't know about the realm divisions, but now that he heard Old Wu say it, he felt like it was amazing. Now that Old Wu suddenly stopped, it made his heart itch. Young master, let's not talk so much. Just cultivate and try to reach that realm. Be it Old Master or I, we all hope that young master can improve. Old Wu smiled. To Old Wu, he just hoped that young master could be safe. As for reaching those realms, it was impossible. Young master cultivated too late. He missed the best time. Unless he had a heaven-defying fortuitous encounter, there was no hope for him to reach Grandmaster or God Essence Realm. As for Void Realm and Heaven and Earth 5-element, that was even more impossible. Lin Fan looked at Old Wu and felt a little uncomfortable. What he hated the most was when people stopped halfway. Wasn't that just torturing him? But forget it. He was satisfied knowing that there were realms above God Essence Realm. Void Realm, 5-element realm. These were two decent realms. He had been thinking about why he didn't have a storage ring. So only when one reached Void Realm could one open up their own space to store things. Old Wu, there is nothing for you to do here. I will take a look myself. Lin Fan said. The techniques here were all his. As for taking them away, he wouldn't take them away. Anyway, the small support system had already recorded them. He wanted to beat himself to death. If he knew that this would happen, he would have taken the initiative to learn some when he left. However, that was impossible. Father was so disappointed in him. So how would he let him take a look? Old Wu looked at young master and nodded his head. Okay, then I will take my leave. In the secret room, Lin Fan was prepared to record all of these techniques. Although rage points couldn't support him for now, it was good to have more skills. One day he would use them. However, he was thinking about one thing. Just how strong was his father? Based on what Old Wu said, the techniques here were of such a high level, and normal people definitely wouldn't be able to get them. Perhaps his father was the hidden big boss. Old Wu found Old Master at the fastest speed. Old Master, young master has returned. I have brought him to the secret room as per your instructions. Old Wu said. Did he lose weight? Lin Wani asked. Old Wu said, no, I think he gained some weight. When Lin Wani heard that, he was furious. This heartless thing actually gained weight. Did he ask where I went? Yes. The moment young master came back, the first thing he asked was where old master went. Old Wu said right away. He knew that old master missed young master, but the situation didn't allow him to do so. He could only keep it in his heart. Scoff, at least he has a conscience. Lin Wani said. His mood was much better. Brother Wu, remember, I don't care what you do. You have to send this kid away. Old Wu nodded. Old master, I understand. Zhang Tianshan, why don't you return to Marshall Path Mountain? Lin Wani said. Zhang Tianshan was stunned, like he was insulted. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me or my formation? Let me tell you, don't think that you can look down on me just because you are strong. If I open the formation, even you will suffer. Do you believe me? Lin Wani saw that Zhang Tianshan was bragging, so he didn't expose him. Forget it. What else could he say? Chapter 257. Old Wu left hurriedly and returned to the manor in case young master didn't see him and got suspicious. He felt that young master definitely had some doubts, so he couldn't show any flaws in his words and actions. Fortunately, the people in the city were experienced. To them, young master was still too young. They were really familiar with the tricks they played. How could someone like young master, who hadn't been out in the world, understand? Lin Wani looked at the crack, and his eyes shone brightly. As long as there was something wrong with the crack, he wouldn't hold back and would slash right in. He didn't want to cause too much commotion and be noticed by the unfilial kid. Brother Lin, be careful. News spread from Laozhan City that someone is working together. Fortunately, they noticed, otherwise the outcome would be catastrophic. Zhang Tianshan said. He felt that this was much more intense than before. Moreover, the enemy was really calm. It is hard to say. Many people stayed here and hid. It is hard to differentiate them, so we can only remain calm and not panic. Lin Wani said. Imperial dynasty didn't sit still and wait for death. They were luring them, but the effect was really bad. Lin Manor. Lin Fan spent a period of time in the secret room. The techniques were really amazing and he could understand very few of them. It was probably because they were too high level, and with his cultivation, he couldn't understand them. With his estimations, there were 6 God Essence Realm ones, 11 Void Realm ones, 13 5 Element Realm ones. There were also techniques above 5 Element Realm. However, there were very few of them, like they were decreasing by leaps and bounds. What an overbearing collection room. Based on this, how many rage points do I need? He was a little afraid. He was really worried that he wouldn't have enough rage points and that he would waste so many techniques. He walked out of the secret room. Old Wu was still waiting outside. Young master, how is it? Old Wu asked. It is not bad. Lin Fan said. It was indeed not bad. It was really shocking. Just these techniques alone were things that people couldn't get if they were placed outside. If they were sold outside, how much would they sell for? One probably didn't even dare to think about it. Maybe it couldn't be measured by wealth, and one had to use true treasures to exchange for it. Old Wu's thoughts were really simple, which was to chase young master out of the Lin Manor. However, he couldn't say it out loud. If young master felt that something was off, he would realize that something was wrong. He had to think about it. What should he do to make young master leave? At night, Lin Fan returned to his familiar house and laid down on it. Then he fell asleep. Tranquility, peace, comfort. The most important thing was that indescribable feeling. City, Drunk Fragrance Pavilion. Brother Wu, we can't do anything about this for now. Drunk Fragrance Pavilion's manager, Zhang Sheng, said helplessly. Brother Wu had gathered them here to ask if there was any solution. What method was there for young Master Lin to leave Yi City? This problem was a little complicated. I have a plan. Zhu Shun kept silent for a moment and said, Oh, what is it? Old Wu asked. As long as they could chase young master away, they could try. However, they only had one chance. If they couldn't chase him away, they would be easily exposed. Zhu Shun said solemnly, Actually, it is really simple. We can pretend to be enemies and wipe out the Lin Manor. Brother Wu will pretend to be dead, and we will chase young Master Lin. Naturally, He will leave you city and definitely won't return. At least, before he becomes stronger, he definitely won't return. Don't you think that is a good idea? Zhang Sheng looked at Zhu Shan. Old Zhu, did you kill so many pigs that you became muddle-headed? Why are you even asking if this is a good idea? Let me ask you a few questions. Brother Wu is strong, right? How can we fight him? Didn't I say we would pretend? I didn't say we would really fight. Brother Wu just needs to act and lie on the ground. Zhu Shan replied. He was a little unhappy. What did he mean by killing pigs? He was the one who chose him to open a restaurant, and he was the one who killed pigs. He was the one who wanted change, so he swapped with him. Now he actually turned on him. What a practical person. Zhang Sheng said, Okay, then let me ask you. What if young Master Lin knows that he can't win and still wants to stay in Lin Manor? Will you really kill him or pretend to kill him? How is that possible? He knew that he couldn't win, so naturally, he would flee if he had a chance. How could he not flee? Isn't that just dumb? Zhu Shen retorted. He didn't agree with what Zhang Sheng said and felt like it was nonsense. Zhang Sheng smiled. Okay, then let me ask you. There are many people in your city who know that they are no match for those people. At the same time, they know that they are about to arrive, but they still don't leave. Can you say that they are dumb? Zhu Shen was speechless. He reacted and raged. How can you dig a hole for me to jump in? He felt like Zhang Sheng was digging a hole for him to jump in. That was just too despicable. Okay, stop arguing. Old Wu pressed his hands down to tell them to calm down, as expected of a big brother. The noisy Zhu Shen didn't say anything as he respected his big brother. After all, Old Wu and Lin Wani had taught them well. Even if they were old now, that shadow still covered their hearts. Zhu Shan's words make sense, or rather, there's a possibility of it being implemented. I just thought of an idea. I can wipe out my family and I can die, but someone has to save me. Zhang Sheng, you will help. When Zhu Shen and the others force my young master into despair, you will save him and bring him away. Old Wu thought about it and chose Zhu Shen's idea. Zhu Shen looked at Zhang Sheng in delight like he was saying, Did you see that? You didn't agree, but Brother Wu agreed. So what else could you say? Zhang Sheng said, Brother Wu, don't you think that this matter is a little problematic? If you think about it, you will easily notice the problem. Zhu Shen took in a deep breath and looked at Zhang Sheng unhappily. Why did this old man always go against him? That was just so annoying. There is nothing problematic about it. Although Zhu Shen's suggestion has many contradictions, it is indeed the most effective and also the most unsolvable. Let's work hard tonight and deal with this matter. We will attack tomorrow night. I don't want my young master to remain in Yu City after tomorrow. Old Wu looked at them and said solemnly, Understood. Master Lin has guarded Yu City for decades, so we can't let him die. Everyone nodded their heads and agreed with that idea. Old Wu said, Okay, then it is decided. I hope that all of you can perform well. Zhu Shen, you look really fierce and muscular, so you will be the enemy. Zhang Sheng will be the person to save my young master. As for the others, do what you need to do and don't reveal any flaws. The night was really cold. In Drunk Fragrance Pavilion, a bunch of people decided on this matter. Lin Fan was still sleeping in his room. He slept really peacefully and didn't know what had happened outside. The next day, comfortable, I have never slept so well before. Is this the benefit of being home? Lin Fan stretched. It felt really good to be home. If one didn't personally experience it, one wouldn't be able to imagine how good it felt. Getting the secret technique from home was his biggest gain. No, it should be that nothing happened in Yu City was the biggest gain. The main reason why he returned to Yu City was because he was afraid that something would happen to his family. Now that nothing happened, wasn't that great? Old Wu waited outside and brought him to have breakfast. After breakfast, Old Wu took him to have breakfast. Lin Fan returned to the room and packed his luggage. Since his father wasn't home, he didn't continue to wait. Otherwise, when his father returned, he would not be alone. Instead, he would bring someone with him. That would be a real trap. He was terrified of his father's actions. Did he really want him to get married that badly? Just thinking about it terrified him. This was why it was best if he left the Lin family and hid for a while. Moreover, he wanted to show his father his current strength and instantly shock him. However, His father wasn't in U City, and he had nowhere to show off his strength. Even if he did it in front of old Wu, it would be pointless. This was why he decided to continue to bear with it. Once he raised his strength, he would return to U City to show his father. Now that he had obtained many secret techniques, what he lacked was rage points. He had to think of a way to get enough. Old Wu came to take a look at young master. When he noticed that young master was carrying a bag, he was slightly shocked and asked curiously, "Young master, where are you going?" Although his words were a question, he was praying in his heart that he had to leave. "Old Wu, I came back to see whether or not something happened in your city. Looking at the situation, it seems like nothing happened. I think I should leave. After a period of time, I will come back." Lin Fan said. Old Wu's expression was calm, but deep down, he was really anxious. He was actually going to leave. That was just too unbelievable. However, he couldn't show it, otherwise there would be problems. "Young master, why didn't you bring those secret techniques?" Old Wu asked. Lin Fan waved his hands. "There is no need. It is too problematic. Moreover, I don't understand them, so why would I bring them? If I lose them outside, wouldn't I be asking for trouble? If I really need them in the future, I will come back to take a look. After all, this is my home, so who wouldn't come back for me?" There was nothing wrong with what he said. However, to old Wu, that wasn't what he wanted. He wanted young master to bring those secret techniques back to Marshall Path Mountain. No one knew what the future would be like. The crack would open and those fellows would come. Whether or not U City could still exist was a problem. If he left the secret techniques and U City was destroyed, then there would be nothing left. This was a legacy that old master hoped to bring away. However, he couldn't show too much. Otherwise, if young master noticed the problem, then all his hard work would be wasted. Lin Fan carried the bag and said, "I am leaving. If my father comes back, tell him to take care of his body. After a period of time, I will come back to see him." The moment he said that, he carried the bag and left. Chapter 258. Old Wu wanted to say a few words to stop young master, but he swallowed those words. Now that young master was leaving U City, wasn't that what he wanted? If he said a few more words, young master might change his mind or notice the problem. This was why he accompanied young master and sent him to the city gate. City gate. "Young master, be careful." Old man Wu treated this as the last time they would meet. He had a smile on his face, but it was a forced one. Lin Fan didn't see his expression and nodded his head. "I know. Don't worry. I am not a person who causes trouble, so how can I not be safe? I am leaving." He waved his hands and walked into the distance. Slowly, Old Wu could only see his back view. "Hey's young master." Old Wu was a little sad. He watched young master grow up, and now he was going to leave U City. Who knew what would happen in the future? If U City wasn't there, young master would really be alone. He hoped that young master would be strong and have the courage to move forward. "Borderland, you really aren't going back to see him?" Zhang Tianshan asked. Lin Wani looked at the crack, and his gaze didn't change at all. "No, if I leave and the crack opens and someone comes out, then what? That kid needs training. Under my wings, he won't grow up. What a waste. Even if I don't show off my strength, that unfilial kid still messes with me." That was indeed the case. Lin Wani was really low profile in U City and didn't show much strength. He even purposely created a situation where the three families fought. Who knew that his son was still so lazy and just wanted to waste his days? He didn't show any signs of working hard at all. Zhang Tianshan didn't say much. He knew that Lin Wani wanted to go back and take a look. Maybe this would be the last time they met. He looked at the expressionless Lin Wani and sighed. He had taken on too much. Was there a need to give so much? Lin Wani looked really calm, but actually he wasn't. He really wanted to go back and take a look, but he couldn't. The current situation didn't allow him to leave. Old Wu stood at the city gate for a long while before shaking his head and turning his head. Within a certain room. "Kiki, Lin family, I am definitely going to wipe them out today. Let's see who can stop me. Kid, if you want to blame someone, blame your bad luck." Zhu Shun held the machete, and his face was dark and sunken. Zhang Xing instantly appeared and smacked Zhu Shun aside. He pretended to help the person on the ground up. "Young Master Lin, I am late. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. I will save you and leave. Zhu Shun frowned. Zhang Sheng, do you know how to act? Your expression is so calm, and it looks fake. Can you show some sadness and rage? You aren't angry at all, and even risked your life to save him. What does that have to do with the Lin family? Zhu Shen, what do you mean? I have long reached a calm state of mind. How could such a thing happen? Zhang Sheng retorted and felt like Zhu Shen didn't understand. Zhu Shen smiled. Your words are interesting. What do you mean by being calm? Can young Master Lin tell? Isn't the reason why I have to reveal my ferocious appearance when I kill people to make things more realistic? All of you, start again. Don't reveal any flaws. One flaw might cause all our efforts to go to waste. There were many people around. They were all assassins who followed Zhu Shun and didn't have any lines to say. To prevent mistakes, they all wore masks, and one couldn't see their faces at all. That night, Old Wu stayed in the manor and told Old Master about what happened. After Old Master heard about it, he was furious once more. Unfilial kid. He told him to take the techniques and leave, but in the end, he didn't even take a single one. He was just so stubborn and didn't even listen to him. Lin Wani was so furious that he nearly had a heart attack and fainted. Luckily, Zhang Tianshan consoled him and he felt slightly better. Old Wu frowned. He felt like he forgot something. No, he didn't forget anything, right? Suddenly, a bunch of voices descended from the sky. Zhu Shun, who held a machete, was really aggressive. He looked really vicious and vicious. Tonight, we will wipe out the entire Lin Manor and leave no one alive. Kill! Hung Long. Zhu Shun slashed, and the blade light shot through the air. It landed on the empty ground of the Lin Manor and slashed out a deep moat. Old Wu was just about to rest when he heard the commotion outside. He was shocked and instantly came to his senses. He forgot something important, which was to tell Zhu Shun and the others that the mission had been canceled. Looking at the situation, it seemed like it really came. Zhu Shun. Old Wu stepped out and was about to say something, but Zhu Shun stopped him. Zhu Shun didn't expect Brother Wu to call him by his name. He had never said that before. He instantly understood. Was he trying to make things seem more real? Ha ha ha. I, Zhu Shun, have endured humiliation and hidden you city for decades just for this day. Die. Zhu Shun didn't say a word. He raised his machete and slashed down. Blade energy surged, and it was obvious that he was serious. Of course, he wasn't Brother Wu's match, but if he didn't make it seem more real, how could he? Hung Long. A battle erupted. Old Wu was prepared to speak, but Zhu Shun stopped him. He didn't give him a chance to speak at all. The Lin Manor situation caught the attention of many people in Yu City. Zhu Shun, young master, has left, so what are you doing? Put it down. Old Wu was helpless. What was Zhu Shun thinking? Didn't he notice that young master wasn't in the manor? Zhu Shun was stunned and stopped what he was doing. What was going on? He raised his hand, and the people behind him stopped too. They had no enemies to slash, so they just acted like they were slashing at the air. They acted like they were doing something. Brother Wu, why didn't you say so earlier? Zhu Shun was helpless. So it was all a mistake. Old Wu looked at Zhu Shun and shook his head. Why were you so rash? He felt that he was too careless. When young master left in the day, he forgot to inform Zhu Shun. He thought that everyone saw it, but who knew that Zhu Shun and the others were busy practicing and didn't care so much? Then, everyone took off their masks. Who knew that in the end, it was all a mistake? Suddenly, Zhu Shun looked at the other person. They all took off their masks, but that person didn't. At the same time, he counted and realized that there was one more person. Who are you? There are only 10 of us here. So how did you sneak in? Take off your mask. Who are you? Zhu Shen's tone became really strict. This was Yu City, and he actually snuck in. That was enough to show that he was really bold and actually disregarded their existence. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. You all. The masked person opened his mouth. His tone was filled with shock and disbelief. Zhu Shun said, "We are acting. Who is your friend? Who are you to actually have the courage to sneak into our group? How bold." The masked person who snuck into the group had a dark and solemn expression on his face. How did this happen? Take him down. Old Wu's expression was really solemn. He didn't expect that someone would sneak into U City. The masked person retreated and tore open the space to try to flee. In the distance, a cold light flashed across. The space ripped open and the masked person fell down. Zhang Sheng was prepared to enter to save him, but who knew that such a thing would happen? He felt really helpless. That night, Lin Fan was already far away from U City and was only halfway to Marshall Path Mountain. He rested in the forest and looked at the small support system. Rage points, 47699. There weren't many rage points, but there weren't few either. Usually, many random rage points would appear. He didn't know who was angry. Maybe it was someone he had heard in the past. There were basically no extra manuals that he was cultivating, and the extra ones had not been upgraded. What a waste of Elder Hanqing's sword techniques. If he could refresh them, that would be great. However, he had no choice as they were fixed and couldn't be washed away. The 6 God Essence Realm techniques he got from home were what he needed. At the same time, it made him feel that his father might really be a dual cultivator. That was because there were indeed techniques to cultivate the God body. Improve. Consumed 4,000 rage points. Golden Sun Shining Sky. Basics. This physique cultivation technique was quite good. When he cultivated it, a scorching power appeared in his body, like the temperature of the sun. However, he was only at the basics, and the effects weren't obvious, but it was already really overbearing. He continued to improve. Golden Sun Shining Sky, returning to true, consumed a total of 39,000 rage points. Wong. Lin Fan's body shook and a golden color appeared on it. The surrounding plants seemed to be affected by the heat and started to dry up. Each of his pores felt like there was a sun giving off heat. Father's collection was really extraordinary. He felt that this technique was probably the strongest in God Essence Realm. His physical body strength was greatly increased. He retracted his cultivation. The phenomenons slowly dissipated. The sunlight glow in each of his pores slowly disappeared. His cultivation speed, which relied on the small support system, was just too quick. It was so quick that one couldn't even react. It was just too difficult for normal people to cultivate a cultivation technique to the returning to true realm. Even an ordinary secret manual would require a lot of energy and time. He just needed to rely on rage points to do that. Simple, easy, and there were no negative emotions that tainted it. Who knew how many people broke down in order to cultivate a technique to a high level? Don't think that such things wouldn't happen. That is really going to happen. Now that the technique problem was solved, the next thing was to think of a way to get rage points. Then his own strength would be greatly enhanced. When that happened, he would return to U City and have a good chat with his father. The night was silent. Lin Fan closed his eyes and was prepared to have a good rest. But suddenly, he opened his eyes. In the darkness of the night, several faint lights suddenly flashed past. Chapter 259. I just went home to take a look. I didn't offend anyone, so they shouldn't be here to find me. Lin Fan muttered to himself. 9 Bug Gang was wiped out by a certain elder, which meant that he had one less enemy. He felt slightly pitiful and helpless. He didn't like to offend people. Truthfully, he felt that he had few enemies. Although he didn't dare to say that he had many friends, at least he didn't have many enemies. Who wouldn't agree with what he said? Qingshan Temple wasn't. Yin Demon wasn't. Jiyuan Sect wasn't. Shidao Sect wasn't. Imperial Dynasty, Zhao family wasn't. There were too many people who weren't happy with Lin Fan's words. So many that they couldn't be counted. Only someone who was thick-skinned to a certain extent could say such words without batting an eyelid. He was simply shameless. Suddenly, with a shell, like something broke through the air. It was really quick and gave out an ear-piercing sound. A cold glow appeared in front of Lin Fan in the blink of an eye. Pata! Lin Fan raised his hand and caught the incoming object between his 2 fingers. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be an iron ball the size of a thumb. The iron ball was connected to a silver-white thread, and under the illumination of the moonlight, it emitted a faint silver light. Boo! Lin Fan frowned and was really unhappy. Which bastard was so arrogant to actually block him? He didn't remember who he offended. Didn't he feel that his actions were a little too much? He didn't offend others, but that didn't mean that he would be easily offended. Selah. The iron ball between his fingers suddenly became very smooth, and it slid down from his fingers. The thread seemed to have become longer, and it directly wrapped around Lin Fan's body. In an instant, it wrapped around Lin Fan, and he couldn't even move his limbs. I caught him. In the darkness, a joyful voice spread out. It was obvious that he didn't expect it to be so simple. There wasn't even any trouble at all. Then, several people walked out from the darkness. Oi, I say, you little bastards, are you sick in the head? I don't even know you. Why did you capture me? Lin Fan asked. He took a close look. He didn't know any of them. Was there a mistake for them to capture him for no reason? Rage points plus 111. Rage points plus 222. Rage points plus 444. The three of them gave Lin Fan some gains. Kid, watch your mouth. One of the men's tone turned gloomy. It was obvious that he was angered by Lin Fan's words. What did he mean by a little brat? They had never thought that they would meet such an arrogant person here. You should be Lin Wani's son. At this moment, the man holding a thread in his hand asked. His eyes were like pearls, shining in the dark night. I'm your father. What do you want? Forgive Lin Fan for speaking so violently. He had no choice. To attract rage points, he could only act like he was impulsive. He didn't even want to say too much nonsense and wanted to use strength to suppress him. Rage points plus 999, rage points plus 999, rage points plus 999. Sure enough, cursing was very useful. In an instant, it accumulated the other party's anger to the limit. Courting death. One of the slightly plump fellows shouted angrily and swung his arm. With a shio-shio sound, several cold lights swept out. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be internal force needles condensed from internal force. Inner force? Lin Fan was slightly stunned and then shook his head. What a despicable title. They weren't even at God Essence realm and dared to find trouble with him. Didn't they ask around? Also, who were these people? They actually asked whether or not he was Lin Wani's son. Did they want to kidnap him to threaten his father? Dang dang. The internal force needles struck Lin Fan's body like they were hitting metal, giving out a crisp sound. They didn't even break his skin at all. Awkward. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly became awkward. This. Lin Fan lowered his head and looked at his perfectly fine skin. He then looked at them. Your needles don't seem sharp. Shock. The three of them looked at Lin Fan in shock, like they didn't expect that. Very quickly, one of them reacted and laughed coldly. So, you are an expert. Since that is the case, then I'm not afraid of killing you right away. What did he say? Lin Fan really wanted to ask, what brother were you talking about? Why didn't he understand? Pung. True essence exploded from his body, following the threads and turning into lightning. There was a sizzling sound as it struck towards Lin Fan. Out of the three of them, only one was a God Essence realm expert, while the other two were Master Realm. The eye-piercing lightning instantly covered Lin Fan. Poochie. Lin Fan clenched his fists and his muscles swelled up. With a loud bang, the threads that were wrapped around his body broke apart. Lin Fan then grabbed hold of the threads and exerted strength. A strong force burst forth. The other party's face changed. He couldn't block it at all. His body flew towards Lin Fan like a cannonball. Pung. Lin Fan didn't show any mercy. When he got close, he punched his young face. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His head smashed into the ground and formed a deep hole. It ended just like that. Pata! He stepped on a man's head and waved at the other two dumbstruck fellows. Come over. The other two looked at Lin Fan in shock. Damn it. What was going on? The two of them slowly moved backward. This was the rhythm of them wanting to run. However, Lin Fan's next sentence had sealed off all their paths of escape. Don't think about leaving. Come over, or I will beat you to death. Lin Fan said. His tone didn't sound like he was joking. It felt like everything he said was true. The two of them looked at the person who was being stepped on by Lin Fan, and then at Lin Fan. They knew that Lin Fan was very strong, much stronger than them, by a lot. With their cultivation, it was basically impossible for them to escape from his hands. Lin Fan didn't want to kill them. He had many questions. Who were they and who sent them? He couldn't just kill them and forget about it, right? That was impossible. Only by asking them would it be the safest. Not long later, the three of them were tied to the tree by Lin Fan. The fellow who was knocked out by Lin Fan slowly woke up. When he woke up, he definitely wanted to fight back. After all, he was a God Essence realm expert. So how could he be defeated so easily? Lin Fan obviously wouldn't give him a chance to act cool. He punched him and scolded him into submission. Rage points plus 999, rage points plus 999, rage points plus 999. Such a simple operation was enough to make the three of them not dare to say anything more. Lin Fan was unfamiliar with them and had never seen them before. He had been guessing which faction he offended. However, he couldn't guess anything. Let me ask you, just answer me honestly. I have a good temper and usually won't hurt people. Don't worry about that. First, he had to appease their emotions. If he wanted to get more inside information, he had to let them see the hope of survival. If he didn't even give them hope, he was afraid that they would be the same as those people in the 9 Bug Gang division. They would rather die than speak any nonsense. The God Essence realm expert who was beaten up by Lin Fan squinted and looked at Lin Fan. It wasn't that he didn't want to open his eyes, but that they were swollen. Lin Fan's strength exceeded his expectations. How could he be so strong? This was totally different from the news he got. His swollen eyes gave off a cold glow and were really dark and sunken. Even if he was weaker than Lin Fan, the rage in his heart was still burning. Which faction are you from? Lin Fan asked. Slowly, he had to ask questions one by one. If he asked too many, it would seem like he was in a rush. Lin Fan looked at the three of them. 2 of them lowered their heads and didn't dare to look into Lin Fan's eyes. As for the fellow who was beaten up, he squinted his eyes and stared at Lin Fan in rage. Even if his eyes were swollen, he could sense the rage in his gaze. You really don't want to tell me the truth? Lin Fan asked helplessly. I wanted to have a good conversation with all of you, but you didn't cherish it. Don't blame me for being cruel to all of you. Refresh. Bug controlling technique reached the peak. Gray true essence spread out, covering a wide area. It was dozens of times larger than when he was only at Grandmaster Realm. Maybe this was a huge leap in quality, which was why he had such an effect. Pung pung. A soft sound spread out from all around. Only the 2 Master Realm people's expressions changed, like they felt that something terrifying was heading towards them. They weren't calm, and their gazes towards Lin Fan were filled with panic. As for the God Essence Realm expert, he was really calm. He stared right at Lin Fan. He really wanted to fight him to the death. The 3 of them were so furious, rage points came uninvited. They started to increase. At that moment, a small bug laid on Lin Fan's finger. The bug was small, but its body was covered in spikes. Do you see it? This sand-sized bug likes to climb into your body. Like ants, it likes to bite your flesh and organs and then climb out from the holes on your body. It might crawl out from your nose, your mouth, or even your buttocks. It might even crawl out from the tiny cracks where water is sprinkled. Do you want to give it a try? If you don't tell me, I think you'll have the chance to do so. Lin Fan's tone was dark and sunken, and there was a bit of terror in it. Maybe that God Essence Realm expert wouldn't speak so easily, but these 2 Master Realm experts would probably pee their pants. After all, his words caused his body to shake. He felt really terrified. Speak, which side do you belong to? Lin Fan asked. He just wanted to know who these people were. This place was just too close to U City. Although he couldn't believe the words of the people who left U City, there was no smoke without fire. What if something really happened? Chapter 260. You're not allowed to speak. If you dare, I will kill you. The God Essence Realm expert raged. Even if he was suppressed, he didn't want to reveal anything. He directly threatened the 2 of them. It was obvious that he felt that the 2 of them had a high chance of revealing the truth. So that is the case. I think the 2 of you will say it. Lin Fan chuckled. He hadn't expected the other party to be so stupid to be able to expose the situation of these 2 people in an instant. Who said that he was stupid? He was sure that if 100 people heard those words, they wouldn't be able to think of such a deep point. Only noticed it. Truthfully, this was something he saw in dramas in his last life. Often, People who were captured by the villain would shout at their teammates not to tell them. But most of the time, they really did. This was why it was good to watch more dramas. After all, no one knew when they would be caught. Wait, I don't think I am the villain, right? The two Master Realm people's eyes shone with a cold light. It was obvious that they were afraid of Lin Fan. But the words of a God Essence Realm expert were still threatening to them. They didn't dare to speak. They just lowered their heads and hoped that someone would come and save them. What they were most afraid of was that if they said the truth, someone would come and save them. That would be really awkward. Lin Fan's patience had a limit. He walked in front of Guy. Are you going to speak or not? The pupils of the man who was chosen by Lin Fan shrunk. It was as if he had seen a ghost. There were 3 people here. Why did Lin Fan have to choose him? Then he shouted in fear. I don't know anything. Go ask him, don't ask me. It was obvious that he was afraid of Lin Fan deep in his heart. Of course, whether or not he was afraid because of the bug or because of Lin Fan's strength, no one knew. The guy who was tied up looked at his partner in shock. That was too cunning, actually asking him to ask him. He didn't expect that his good brother would betray him at such a time. Damn. Lin Fan placed his hand on her shoulder and smiled. No, I want to know from your mouth. Tell me now. Just answer me if you're going to tell me or not. You don't have to say so much nonsense. The Master Realm expert lowered his head and shivered. It was obvious that he was hesitating and didn't know whether or not he should say it. Lin Fan was lazy to say more. He raised his finger and placed the bug on his nose. He was so frightened that he screamed, I will speak, I will speak. He clearly didn't expect the other party to be so decisive and not give him any chance at all. He wanted to cry. Why? There were obviously 2 other people. If you want to interrogate them, just interrogate them. Why did you have to choose me? How infuriating. He was really infuriating. Lin Fan didn't stop. He wanted to let the other party feel how it felt to be bitten by a bug. Only after experiencing it would he know how important it was to be honest. It wasn't something that could be solved just by shouting. The bug climbed into his nose and then ran down his throat. Under Lin Fan's control, the bug could reach anywhere in his body. Do you feel that there's a bug on your beating heart? Red, very young, very energetic. Thump, thump, thump heart. My bug is telling me that it can't wait to taste it. The guy was shocked. His face was ashen white and cold sweat dripped down his forehead. It was obvious that he was frightened by Lin Fan. Screams exploded out. Heart-wrenching pain like a piece of his heart was really being bitten. Don't use your weak internal strength to fight the bug in your body. You're still too weak. Lin Fan said. He could sense the news that the bug sent back. This fellow screamed and didn't forget to use internal strength to suppress his bug. Unfortunately, with his strength, it was impossible for him to wipe out this bug that was buffed by the bug controlling technique's special internal strength. He felt that the bug controlling technique would get stronger when one was strong. It was totally different from some secret techniques, like it would never change. It would become stronger along with the strength of the user. One could tell from the bug that it had mutated to a terrifying level. Soon, a mutated worm slowly crawled out from the man's ear. The sharp teeth between the upper and lower jaw bit on a small piece of flesh. Look, this is a small part of your heart. If you don't tell me, there will be more. Lin Fan smiled. Instantly, there were many bugs all around. They were like soldiers. Under Lin Fan's control, they lined up in an orderly manner and waited quietly. The guy was in so much pain that his body was covered in cold sweat. His pupils constricted, and he was totally stunned by Lin Fan's actions. How did Lin Fan do such a terrifying thing? I said that we are from the Alliance. The guy hollered. You actually dare to betray the Alliance. Shut up, otherwise you will die. That God Essence Realm stared at his partner in rage. He didn't expect that he would choose to betray him. At that moment, Lin Fan was stunned as he stood on the spot. Alliance? Such a familiar term. It was also a modern term. If he didn't understand wrongly, the Alliance was something that appeared in movies. It was an organization that merged all the powers together. Where is it? Lin Fan asked. It was like a magical door had appeared in front of him, giving him a strong desire to investigate it. Behind the border crack. We came from Laozhan City. The guy said in fear. Rage points plus 999. This God Essence Realm expert was really helpful, continuously giving him rage points. He could applaud him for being such a good person. Lin Fan thought about it for a moment. Many thoughts appeared in his mind. Although he only said the word alliance, he was really curious about whether or not it was what he thought it was. Why did you find me? I don't think I'm familiar with all of you. Lin Fan asked. He understood that he shouldn't be familiar with them, but they knew him. No. If he guessed boldly, they should know his father. There was really a problem with you, city. He closed his eyes and started to think about the situation there. Many scenes flashed across his mind. Although Old Wu's tone didn't change, it was like he wanted him to leave and also wanted him to take the technique away. Drunk Fragrance Pavilion's waiter disappeared. The closing of the brothels in the city was a sign that there was a problem. Shut up, you shut up. The God Essence Realm expert hollered in rage, causing huge pressure on the terrified guy. Lin Fan waved his arm, and numerous bugs climbed onto his body. They then covered his mouth, such that he could only make noises and not say a single word. The current situation was just too sick. If one wasn't mentally strong, they might have vomited. You should be the one who should shut up. Continue, I want to know more. As long as you are honest, I can consider letting you live. Lin Fan said. The guy who was being interrogated looked at the deputy captain in shock and said in terror, We received orders to come from Laozhan City to find you. Our captain has already entered your city to investigate the situation and search for your tracks. This is the current situation. Lin Fan squinted and felt like things were a little chaotic. Behind the border crack. This was a little interesting. Does the Alliance have nuclear bombs? Lin Fan asked. Nuclear bomb? What nuclear bomb? I have never heard of it before. The man shook his head and looked at his vice captain from time to time. How could there be such disgusting things in his mouth? He didn't dare to imagine what would happen if these bugs were to crawl all over his mouth. What kind of horrifying scene would it be? He had never heard of it. Was he thinking too much? Lin Fan asked. Then, why did you come here? Do you want to enslave us or occupy us? The man looked at Lin Fan in fear and said, Our resources have been used up, and we need to open up a new place. As for the rest, I really don't know. Please let me go. You promised me that as long as I cooperate, you'll let me live. Tears and snot were all over his face. You heard it wrongly. I said that I can consider letting you live, not that I'm sure. What you're saying now isn't of much help to me. Lin Fan said. However, he was also thinking about what was behind the crack. In the past, he wasn't sure how strong his father was. But after the techniques in the secret room, he could see that he was really strong. If not, how could he have so many techniques? If one had to say, he felt that his father was guarding the border. If not, such a strong person wouldn't stay in such a broken place unless he had problems in his head. Rage points plus 999 inch despicable. How can there be such a despicable person like you? You didn't keep your word. You're lying to me. The guy hollered in rage. He didn't expect that he would feel so bad being lied to. At the same time, he didn't expect that people from rich land would be like that. Lin Fan looked at the other guy. Do you have anything to add? The guy who was tied up in the middle didn't say anything. He had nothing to say. This person was a liar, someone who didn't keep his word. Whoever believed him would be a fool. He waved his hands, and the bugs in the God Essence Realm expert's mouth dissipated. Do you have anything to add? But he didn't bother about Lin Fan and looked at his partner in rage. You betrayed us and will be punished. Do you think that he will let you go just because you said it? You are such a dumb person. You deserve to die. You really deserve to die. The guy who was terrified by Lin Fan lowered his head and felt that he was wrong. Lin Fan didn't think about letting him go and that he was just dreaming. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to get anything useful out of him. But it didn't matter. It wasn't important. The important thing was the rage points. Chapter 261. In a dark and damp cave, all sorts of bugs crawled on the walls. At the same time, there were many beast corpses piled up around. The atmosphere was really terrifying. Monster Emperor, how did you become so pitiful? In the cave, a person stood there and looked at the depths of the cave at the 9-bug gang leader who was so fat that he turned into a ball. His tone was teasing like he was gloating. Kiki, pitiful? No, it isn't pitiful. but an improvement. Swordhead is really amazing. I didn't expect you to beat me up like that. Ha ha. Monster Emperor laughed out loud. As he laughed too intensely, the fats on his body were shaking. The black-robed man looked at Monster Emperor and dissed in his heart. He was really a lunatic. If not for his need, he really didn't want to be with such a sick person. U City is defended by Lin Wani, and we can't break the defense. I hope that you can fulfill your promise. Laozhan City, Maigu City, Tianshui City, and Fengyue City have all activated their defenses. We just need you to help us break one city. The black-robed man said. Monster Emperor lowered his head and toward his body. He reached his fingers in his body and pulled out a bunch of rotten flesh. He tossed it to the side and said casually, "Do you know why I lost so badly? Monster Emperor, I am talking to you about something important. Can you treat it seriously?" The black-robed man was a little furious. This fellow was just too much. Not only was he ugly and fat, but he was also so rude. He didn't even care about their matter at all. How annoying. Monster Emperor continued. Although Swordhead is strong, it is impossible for him to injure me like this without suffering any injuries. However, thanks to his massacring sword path, he perfectly sliced open the hidden injuries in my body. That damn fellow saw that I was more talented and stronger than him, so he said that I had fallen. That is just so dumb. However, I have already used Swordhead's hands to succeed. Kekaha. Monster Emperor's maniacal laughter spread out from the cave. The black-robed man's body shook. He was actually shocked by Monster Emperor's perverted personality. However, there were some things that had to be said. Monster Emperor, can you be more serious? Why I'm talking to you is really important. If you continue like this, I think there is no need for us to continue working together. What he hated the most was talking to people who didn't respect him, especially for such a freak. Monster Emperor's voice was hoarse and loud. Understood. Haven't you always been serious? What? Do you think I'm not serious? The black-robed man said. Monster Emperor, we know that you are a serious person, which is why we hope that you can complete this matter quickly. It will benefit both you and us. Oh, Monster Emperor smiled. Especially when he smiled, his eyes squinted and the corner of his mouth cracked. That terrifying feeling was enough to scare anyone. Oh, right, listen carefully. Did you hear anything beautiful? Under the shocked gaze of the black-robed man, Monster Emperor grabbed the fat on his stomach and flicked it. The sound of waves spread out. It was so vast and ethereal like the sound of a celestial realm. To Monster Emperor, that voice might have been really beautiful, but to the black-robed man, he couldn't feel any beauty at all. Monster Emperor, you should slim down. Don't you think that your fat is affecting you? The black-robed man said. He didn't want to continue talking nonsense with Monster Emperor. He just needed to pass the message. He turned around and wanted to leave. He took a few steps and stopped. I hope it can be done quickly. What he didn't know was that when he said those words, Monster Emperor's expression became really ugly. He squinted and stared at the back view of the black-robed man. A killing intent exploded out from Monster Emperor's body. The temperature in the cave suddenly dropped like it was covered in ice. The black-robed man stopped and lowered his head. He realized that there was a shadow covering him, and it was getting bigger and bigger. A bad feeling appeared in his heart. Monster Emperor Yupong. A fat palm swept across and smacked the black-robed man onto the wall. The wall cracked, and the cave nearly collapsed. Damn. Being unable to understand means that you're stupid enough. But since you dare to insult me, then you are asking to die. Monster Emperor stared at him in rage, and a ball of killing intent exploded out from his body. The black-robed man was stunned like he didn't dare to believe it. Monster Emperor, you dare. Monster Emperor's fat body was like a giant mountain that pressed down on him. Stupid thing. Flames spat out from the black-robed man's eyes. Who knew that Monster Emperor would actually attack? He raged and kicked Monster Emperor's body with terrifying strength. With a pong, there was no shocking movement at all. His legs sunk deep into Monster Emperor's fat. With a kacha, how is that possible? He shouted in terror. A black whirlpool appeared at Monster Emperor's stomach. It was like a living being had opened its mouth and swallowed the black-robed man. As expected, there are too few people who can understand me. Monster Emperor muttered and a maniacal expression appeared in his eyes. The sky was bright. Lin Fan rested for a night and waited for the three of them to give him rage points. When the sky turned bright, the bugs swallowed the three of them. The pain of taking revenge was unbearable for normal people. Maybe this was the pain of sadness. It wasn't that Lin Fan was too cruel, but that he really didn't know how to torture these people. If he kept them alive, they would just be a problem. Even if their cultivations were trashed, it was hard to say whether or not they would cause more problems. His gains were decent. 30,000 rage points were gathered over time. Of course, along the way, there were some unknown rage points. Maybe some people who were still alive were thinking about him. However, the number of rage points decreased. It should have been related to time. As a long time passed, people slowly forgot about him. He felt that these people were just too sad. The pain of the past was forgotten as time passed. This was called forgetting history. They didn't need to take revenge on him, but at least they remembered this period of history. How could they continue living so carelessly? Maybe when his status rose, those people might even turn around and lick his boots. At points, God Body, 430 slowly increased and instantly reached 440. God Body, 440, Middle God Essence Realm. He clenched his fingers and terrifying power boiled. He casually added points. He didn't feel arrogant because his strength increased. Wasn't that normal? It was really casual. He raised his strength through playing and not through hard work. Otherwise, it wouldn't be work and rest, but it would overdraft his body. Lin Fan was thinking about what to do next. Should he return to U City, or he felt that he definitely couldn't return to U City. From Old Wu's actions, he could tell that U City didn't welcome him. Father definitely didn't head out and was just watching from somewhere. The meaning behind this was clear at a glance. They felt that they were weak and couldn't help at all. If they stayed in U City, they would just be a burden. To other people, they might be able to bear with it, but to him, he couldn't. That was an insult to him. Okay, I will head to Laozhan City. Once I raise my strength, I won't care about anywhere else. I will return to U City in glory and let Father see whether or not I am strong. Lin Fan gathered his courage and decided to work hard. He knew that Father was suppressing something, and it wasn't a simple thing. To use his hot blood to go back to help Father? That was an extremely stupid action. As long as they weren't stupid, they would know that he was important to Father. When that happened, they would focus all their firepower on him to restrict Father. It would definitely have a huge impact. This was why he had to go to a place where no one knew who he was. Time to head out. Lin Fan was filled with energy and was about to head to Laozhan City. Wait. Suddenly, something awkward happened. Where is this Laozhan City? It wasn't that he was acting cool and acting cute. He really didn't know where Laozhan City was. Oh my God. If he knew, he would have asked the three of them. Then, he wouldn't have made such a low-level mistake. It should be there. Lin Fan thought about it and looked into the distance. He didn't care if it was real or fake and headed out right away. He followed his instincts, and he definitely wouldn't be wrong. You City, you despicable fellows, to draw me out, you are actually so dirty. You City's Lin Wani. Scoff, you're just SOSO. If you have balls, then let me go. The Void Realm idiot who mixed into the acting group hollered in rage. He wanted to ask whether or not he was strong in his life. He cultivated for 60 years to reach Void Realm and could be said to be a talented person. However, the truly terrifying thing was that the people surrounding me were all stronger than me. I'm really anxious. What should I do? Pa! Zhu Shun's temper couldn't take it anymore, and he slapped him. You fellow, you actually snuck into our group. Do you know that if young Master Lin was really in U City, you might have succeeded? That slap was a little fierce and left 5 claw marks on his face. Everyone had a lingering fear in their hearts. They were indeed frightened. Someone mixed in, and they actually didn't notice. How terrifying was that? If young Master Lin was really there, then the outcome would have been catastrophic. Not to mention them, even the Void Transformation Realm experts of the Alliance were dumbfounded. What was going on? How did it become an act in the end? He really thought that someone wanted to wipe out U City Lin Manor, which was why he wanted help. If he knew that this would happen, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't have done such a thing. Brother Wu, how should we deal with him? Zhu Shen asked. Old Wu said calmly, like he was talking about something really normal. Send him to talk to him and see what he is plotting. In the end, we will just kill him. Okay, the Void Realm expert hollered. You can't do that. He knew what talking to him meant. That would torture him to death. How vicious. I want to self-destruct. I want to self-destruct. Chapter 262. The next day. Old man, does this path lead to Laozhan City? Lin Fan stopped an old man who was carrying a pole and asked. It wasn't that he didn't believe in his sixth sense, but it was better to ask people than to walk all the way to the dark. The old man bent his back, and it was obvious that he was a normal person. Young master, you are walking in the wrong direction to Laozhan City. Lin Fan didn't want to say anything. When the old man pointed out the path, he felt like something wasn't right. He was walking in the wrong direction? I can't accept this situation. How can I, Lin Fan, walk in the opposite direction? I'm doing this on purpose to prove that even a smart person like me can make a mistake sometimes. Lin Fan didn't say much. He wouldn't admit that he was walking in the wrong direction. He always believed that the world was round, and as long as he walked forwards, he would definitely be able to circle back. Of course, unless he was stupid, he would definitely change the path. When the old man left, he turned around. He was helpless to actually walk in the wrong direction. This was such a sad story. Laozhan City, I am coming. He rose into the air and headed towards Laozhan City. He heard that there were enemies there. He also heard that there were rage points there. Although he didn't know whether or not it was true, he definitely wouldn't go wrong to take a look. He wanted to return to Marshall Path Mountain to continue his life, but things didn't go as he expected. He would often face many unexpected situations, so he had to change his mind. He could only head forward step by step according to what happened. What was his father facing? Although he was God Essence Realm, from the techniques he got in the secret room, he knew that his father was so strong that he was afraid of him. But even such a strong father couldn't be distracted. That was enough to show how terrifying the target he was facing was. Yu City. Lin Wani stood guard at the border. The barrier was calm, and there were no abnormalities. Occasionally, a crack would open, but it would be destroyed by Lin Wani with a single strike. He didn't give the other side any chance to come out, and he didn't even give them a chance to send a message. This made the Alliance furious. Lin Wani was amazing, but he couldn't be so overboard, right? His decisive killing and indiscriminate actions totally stunned the Alliance. Why are you here again? Lin Wani opened his eyes and looked into the void. Old Ancestor Su had a smile on his face as he slowly walked out from the void. Not calm. It is really not calm. I can't stay here any longer. Now that the various defense lines are facing problems, Yu City is the calmest, so I can't learn from you. Lin Wani didn't care about old Ancestor Su's words at all. Okay, I am guarding this place. Unless I die, they can forget about taking a step forward. What do you want? I don't think that you came to chat with me because you have nothing better to do. If you're really bored, you can help me guard this place. I can also go take a rest. Old Ancestor Su said. Sword Palace, Sword Head wiped out 9 Bug Gang headquarters and slashed open Nuteo River. The flood drowned Fuzhou, and there were many casualties. Monster Emperor is nowhere to be found. He might be dead. Lin Wani was stunned and then said, As expected, you are too rash. Also, Monster Emperor won't die, and it is hard to kill him. As the country protector, can you do something like find those people who are working with the Alliance in case they sneak attack us? When that happens, it won't be so simple. Chaos. It is a total mess. Swordhead's actions have messed up everyone's plans. Old Ancestor Su said helplessly. This matter had exceeded his expectations. I don't know whether or not it is chaotic. That is your problem. I just need to defend you, City. All right. I hope that when you return, you can bring my son away. I don't want him to get so close. Lin Wani said. His mind was filled with thoughts on how to ensure his son's safety. Other things weren't that important to him. Suddenly, the crack shook like someone was about to come out from within. Old Ancestor Su raised his hand and slapped the air. The space seemed to be squeezed, and with a pong, it was destroyed. Someone screamed, but all of that wasn't important anymore. Okay, when we pass Marshall Path Mountain, I will bring your son away. But if he doesn't listen to me, can I be violent? Old ancestor Su smiled and asked. He had met that kid in the past and wanted to recognize him as his grandson, but he actually didn't agree. Zhang Tianshan said, last time when you passed Jiang City, didn't you want young Master Lin to be your grandson? Brother Lin, you need to be careful. This person has always wanted to recognize you as his son. Instantly, Lin Wani squinted and his gaze became a little off. Old ancestor Su smiled. Don't look at me like that. I saw that your son was not bad and wanted to recognize him as my grandson to ensure his safety. Moreover, you are around the same age as my son. It is not a loss. It is really not a loss at all. Lin Wani wanted to hammer this fellow to death. His words were just too infuriating, but he was lazy to stoop to his level. Okay, I won't talk so much to you. It is good that you know these things in your heart. Be careful. Old ancestor Su left. It was obvious that he didn't expect someone to say this out. Wasn't he trying to sow discord between him and Lin Wani? His relationship with Lin Wani couldn't be described with words. It was really deep. Laozhan City is in front. Lin Fan floated in the air and noticed that Laozhan City was different from what he expected. It was even more broken than Yu City. He could only see the exterior in the distance, surrounded by mountains. However, these mountains seemed to have been damaged. At first glance, they looked like deep pits on the moon, full of pockmarks and hollows. There must have been an extremely tragic battle. Even after such a long time had passed, he could still smell the scent left behind by the battle between the experts. He landed from the sky and walked towards Laozhan City. This place was different from those prosperous cities. There was no one around. At least he didn't see a single commoner. Not long after, the road ahead was blocked by someone. Stop, who are you? The person who blocked Lin Fan's path was a young man. He held a curved blade and looked at Lin Fan warily. Maybe because Lin Fan was around the same age as him, he wasn't too nervous. This was an era that looked at age. Those who look young wouldn't be too terrifyingly strong. Of course, there were those who opened the heaven gate in their brains, and their external cultivation reached a certain realm. They looked young, but were actually old monsters. Lin Fan looked at him and felt that his strength was okay. He wasn't that terrifying. I come from Jiang City's Marshall Path Mountain. I came to Laozhan City to defend against the Alliance. From what he learned from those people, there shouldn't be a problem. As expected, when he said these words, the other party's attitude became much better. Although he was still wary, he put away the curved blade in his hand. So you're an ambitious person. My name is Uluo. I live in Laozhan City and am an investigator. I am in charge of the surrounding few miles. What about you? Lin Fan, I am the sect leader of Marshall Path Mountain, and I only have a few disciples. But your name is a little special. Nonsense. Lin Fan smiled. It seemed like he wasn't strong. Otherwise, why would he be sent here to be an investigator? Uluo looked young, but he looked old. There were many signs of youth on his face, which were pimples. When he heard Lin Fan's words, he rolled his eyes and said helplessly, My name is Uluo. I am not messing around. Lin Fan smiled. Little brother, let's not talk about this. Why don't you bring me to Laozhan City? I just came and am unfamiliar with this place. I met a few people who said they were from the Alliance and killed them. After learning about the border problem, I thought that I had some strength, so I came to help. When Uluo heard this, his attitude towards Lin Fan became better, and he became more passionate. But he asked curiously, Brother Lin, you don't look much older than me. I am 21, what about you? It was a little awkward. He was actually 21, a little older than him. I am 22, just 1 year older than you. Lin Fan's ability to lie through his teeth wasn't a joke. Even if you didn't want to believe him, you had to. Uluo believed Lin Fan's words and didn't doubt them at all. At the same time, he was impressed that Lin Fan actually met people from the Alliance and even killed them. But to Uluo, the people from the Alliance probably ran out from here. The situation was really intense. Although they were chased back, there would definitely be some who escaped. Lin Fan and Uluo walked towards Laozhan City. During this period of conversation, he realized that Uluo was a decent kid. When he asked some questions, he wouldn't hide anything from him. Of course, he also asked that since he was 21, then he should be married, but he replied that he wasn't. Lin Fan looked at him for a while and finally understood why he wasn't married. Firstly, the conditions here didn't allow it. Also, his face couldn't be said to be ugly. It was just that there were a few small things on it, which had a slight impact on his overall appearance. Very quickly, they arrived at Laozhan City. Why are there so many people? Lin Fan was shocked and filled with disbelief. The people in the city were all armed. Some of them looked simple and honest, looking like normal people. However, they held giant blades in their hands, which was a huge contrast to themselves. Hu Luo said, "We have been living here for a long time. In the past, we had a normal life. Only when danger arrives will we do this. Let me introduce myself. I am the second generation here. My parents met here, and then I was born. Then they're all dead. They all died here. I inherited their will and continue to stay here." Hu Luo smiled brightly and greeted the people around. It was obvious that he was really familiar with them. The people around sized up Lin Fan. After all, he was a stranger, so they had to be more wary. Chapter 263. Although he said it so casually to Lin Fan, he definitely felt really sad. Such a strong kid. Shua shua. The people around all locked on a Lin Fan. There were even many auras that scanned his body like they were trying to find out where he came from. That didn't feel friendly at all. Hu Luo smiled. "Brother Lin, we are all young people. They don't know you, which is why they are looking at you. But I believe that you are here to fight against the Alliance. Don't worry too much. I don't care. I am just curious." He was definitely curious. There were so many people in Laozhan City, and he felt like they weren't simple. He was thinking about whether or not Yu City was like that, filled with experts. It was just that he didn't see through them. If he offended everyone in the city, the outcome. He sucked in a cold breath. That was a little terrifying. He might even lose his life. So, when he needed to be calm, he had to be. He couldn't be too arrogant. If not, the outcome would be catastrophic. Hu Luo smiled. "Follow me. I will bring you to register. As we live in Laozhan City, we all know one another. But Brother Lin came from outside, so if we don't register, it will be easy for misunderstandings to occur." Very quickly, under Hu Luo's lead, they came to a restaurant. There was an old man smoking, and he smiled. "Little Luo, who is this? Why haven't I seen him before?" "Old Master Wang, this is Brother Lin from Jiang City, the sect leader of Martial Path Mountain. He killed 3 people from the Alliance outside and wants to help," Hu Luo said. He was really respectful towards Old Master Wang. When it was safe, Old Master Wang would act like a beggar. Old Master Wang sized up Lin Fan. To have such thoughts at such a young age, not bad, not bad. But I think you should leave. This isn't a place to gain fame. You can die at any moment. As for Martial Path Mountain, I have never heard of it. It seems like it isn't that eye-catching. Hu Luo said awkwardly. "Old Master Wang, how can you say that? Brother Lin came to Laozhan City to help. I know that you don't have bad intentions, but Brother Lin just arrived." Lin Fan smiled and waved his hands. "It is okay. Uncle Wang is thinking about my safety and wants me to leave. Junior thanks Senior for your concern, but the Alliance matters are everyone's business. How can I be afraid because of death?" Uncle Wang smiled. "Young man, I hope you won't be so scared that you'll wet your pants when the time comes. Young people don't have high cultivation. Coming here is just torture. In the end, you'll still have to rely on us old guys." Hu Luo pulled Lin Fan inside. "Grandpa Wang, I'll talk to you later. I'll bring Brother Lin in first." Lin Fan was pulled into the room, but he still turned around to take a look. This old Master Wang wasn't simple and should be an expert. If he was angered, his rage points would explode. Of course, this was just a thought. Even rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows, let alone him. Brother Lin, don't mind him. Grandpa Wang is a very nice person. He doesn't mean anything by it. It's just that his son was killed by the Alliance. So whenever he sees young people, he will try to persuade them to leave Laozhan City. Take me, for example. I don't know how many times Uncle Wang has tried to persuade me, but I can't leave. I have to inherit my parents' will," Hu Luo said firmly. Lin Fan patted Hu Luo's shoulder. You are amazing. I respect you. He really did respect him. But Grandpa Wang's words made sense. Based on what he knew, the Alliance people were really strong. He was so young, so he definitely wouldn't be that strong. Logically speaking, he was just cannon fodder. But he couldn't be so direct and could only encourage young people to cultivate. After all, not everyone was as talented as him and had such high comprehension ability. There were many people in the shop, and some of them came from outside. At this moment, a male said unhappily, I went to U City a while ago and wanted to work hard against the Alliance. Who knew that U City wouldn't want me and chase me out? Isn't that too much? No matter what, I am an elder of a famous sect. Hayes, you can't blame U City. U City is defending against the most terrifying enemies, so it is normal that they are stricter. Right? Although you're unhappy, you just have to remember our goal. Why do we defend this place for so many years? There's no particular reason. It's all for the land we're standing on and those people. Who knew that he would be able to hear news about U City in Laozhan City? That was really unexpected. Hu Luo said softly, U City Linwani is my idol. I heard from the older generation that he blocked the entrance to the Alliance alone. Even when he nearly died, he didn't take a step back. He is the hero of heroes in my heart. Lin Fan smiled. He really wanted to tell Hu Luo that he was the son of the hero in his heart. Of course, he definitely wouldn't say that. After all, that would be too high profile and would easily attract trouble. The current situation was good. Everyone treated him like a small fry and no one cared about him. Not only could he kill the enemy, but he could also earn rage points, so why not? Very quickly, with Hu Luo's help, Lin Fan obtained a recognition of Laozhan City. He held a small token in his hand which represented that he was from Laozhan City. Brother Lin, this is your first time in Laozhan City, so you definitely aren't familiar with this place. I have a few friends, so why don't we go together? We can take care of one another. Hu Luo asked in anticipation. After all, there weren't many young people in Laozhan City. Lin Fan wanted to reject, but thinking about it, he didn't need someone to lead him. Young people were easy to talk to. As for those old fellows, there was definitely no way. Maybe when they faced problems, they would say, this kid isn't someone you can offend. You better stay here. He hated such situations. Weren't they looking down on him? Lin Fan didn't reject and just agreed. Hu Luo was obviously very excited as he brought Lin Fan to meet his friends. To be honest, with Lin Fan's current strength, he could definitely converse with the older generation. As for the geniuses and geniuses of the younger generation, they would all have to step back. Perhaps he might be younger than them, but his strength was way beyond theirs. He could be considered to be of the same generation as the elders of their race. Under Hu Luo's lead, they came to a courtyard. Before they entered, they heard a commotion. When Hu Luo heard that, he felt a little awkward. He shouted, Come out, I brought a new friend. Instantly, the commotion in the courtyard disappeared. It was really silent. There was no sound at all. Pata! The door to the courtyard opened, and several heads poked out of the door. There was a girl with short hair, a round face, and huge eyes. She looked at Lin Fan curiously. It was obvious that she didn't expect Hu Luo to bring others in. Shortly after was a young man who wore a black round hat. Another was an expressionless young man like he didn't have any emotions and wasn't interested in anything. Come out. What are you all doing in there? Hu Luo waved his hands and told them to come out. Lin Fan had a smile on his face. Another 3 kids. Their ages should be similar to his. However, as for how old, he couldn't tell. Introduce yourselves. I won't introduce you all, Hu Luo said. The round-faced girl giggled as she circled Lin Fan like she was sizing him up. I am Lu Siki, the big sister here. Since you came to Laozhan City, you definitely aren't familiar with this place. As long as you join me, no one will dare to bully you. How is it have you thought about? Hey, what are you doing? Before she could finish her sentence, the man in the round black hat grabbed her head and pulled her aside. You're not a big sister. How old are you to act like a boss? She smiled and looked at Lin Fan. I am Yang Shun, 22 this year, initial Master Realm. Everyone here says that I am a genius. If I was in a sect, I would be a genius. If you want to follow me, I can protect you. The expressionless guy said, Lung San. He just said his name and didn't say anything else. Huluo said awkwardly, Brother Lin, that is his personality, don't mind him. Lu Siki asked curiously, We have already introduced ourselves, but you still haven't told us your name. Lin Fan, from Jiang City, Marshall Path Mountain sect leader, a small sect with just a few people. Lin Fan said, Wah, sect leader. Lu Siki looked at Lin Fan in worship and exclaimed, Did you hear that? He is around our age and is actually a sect leader. Amazing, really amazing. Cough, cough. Huluo coughed and hoped that they wouldn't bring bad influences to this person that they just met. After all, they just met, and their passion might seem like they were mocking him. This was why he hoped that they could calm down. Brother Lin, you definitely don't have a place to stay here. If you don't mind, you can stay here with us. Huluo said, if not for the pimples on his face, with his passionate personality, the girls would definitely like him. Lin Fan nodded. Okay, if you don't think that I am disturbing you, then I am okay with it. He hoped that he could come into contact with people from the Alliance once more. At the same time, he wanted to understand the Alliance on a deeper level. What kind of presence or power could actually make so many experts stay here? Lu Siki surrounded Lin Fan and wanted to know what it was like for such a young person to become a sect leader. However, before she opened her mouth, Lung San grabbed her collar and pulled her back. He said coldly, Don't be so close to someone you just met. You don't even know who he is and why he came here. Lin Fan looked at the expressionless Lung San. Lung San turned his head and didn't look at Lin Fan. Huluo said softly, Brother Lin, don't mind him. He is cold on the outside, but warm on the inside. He is a good person. Chapter 264. That night, Lin Fan stayed in Laozhan City. He was thinking about something. Since he was here and the Alliance didn't invade, then what should he do? Wouldn't he have to continue wasting time here? That was impossible. He had to use the time to accumulate rage points. If nothing happened in a few days, he would definitely leave and think of a way to head over. He also couldn't let others find out that his father was Lin Wani. Last time, when he reported his background, he made them furious. How would he dare to do that again? If anyone here had conflicts with his father, then wouldn't he be a sheep in a tiger's mouth? Moreover, was he someone who would brag about his identity? Of course not. Everything had to be stable. Only by doing so would he be the safest. Another room. Huluo, what are you thinking? Lung Sen looked at Huluo and asked. The four of them had a good relationship and grew up in Laozhan City. This was why when a stranger was added, apart from the simple-minded Lu Siki, the others were conflicted. More accurately, he was conflicted with Yang Shun. He didn't like the sudden familiarity. Huluo said, I didn't think much about it. I just feel that he is not bad. Trust my sixth sense, there won't be a problem. He is a good friend. You don't even know him? Yang Shun said. Although he didn't hate it, he felt a little weird. Huluo said firmly, Trust my sixth sense, it is a magical feeling. Just like how all of you trust me. Now that the crack is opened, anyone who comes to Laozhan City and is willing to fight the Alliance with us will be brothers and friends. Yang Shun, don't you agree? Yang Shun pinched the black round hat on his head and gently touched it, then said, You're right. What is wrong with that? Lung San retorted. He felt that Huluo was thinking too simply and treated everyone as a good person, especially someone whose background was unknown. Huluo said, Lung San, don't think of everyone like that. Trust my foresight. Li Shichi nodded. Right? He is the sect leader, so how could he be a bad person? Don't be jealous of him. That is not good. Lung San wanted to spit out blood. Okay, forget it if you don't believe me. One day you will know that what I said was true. At the border, the Alliance's world was different from where Lin Fan was. They had technology, but mainly focused on martial arts. A short-haired man was in high spirits. He was holding some kind of equipment in his hand and was talking to himself. Everyone, I am now at the entrance of the rich land. According to the orders I received, we will attack tomorrow morning. The location of this attack is the place the natives call Laozhan City. 36th Legion and Guangwu College working together. As the strongest four-star teacher of Guangwu College, in this war, for our future, for our dreams, we have to kill all these natives. Look, this is a wig and their clothes. If you wear these, you'll look exactly like the people there. It'll be easy to fool them. If Lin Fan saw these things, he would definitely exclaim in shock. Wasn't this a live broadcast? Could it be that the predecessor of the Alliance had something to do with the world he came from? Amazing! I finally see Teacher Chen enter the rich land. I bet that Teacher Chen will kill 10 aboriginals. Teacher Chen, capture one and sell it to me. In my exhibition garden, the aboriginals that I caught 20 years ago died recently, and my income has decreased by a lot. So dangerous. It is really dangerous. Teacher Chen, you have to be careful. Those aboriginals are really fierce. Teacher Chen smiled and said to the equipment, everyone, don't worry. There's nothing that Teacher Chen can't solve. My students will be able to watch my performance. All right, this time, I've made sufficient preparations. The signal equipment can be brought to a rich area. Although it can't be too far away, it can still be received within a certain range. When that time comes, you'll be able to watch Teacher Chen's performance. Come, Alliance gift, let's go. Tomorrow, Teacher Chen will bring all of you to witness the killing. In the Alliance, there were still people from the rich land. They were all captured 20 years ago. Lin Fan's language was different from the Alliance's, so normal people in the Alliance didn't know what they were talking about. But after so many years of research, they had deciphered the language of the rich land. To better occupy it, as long as one cultivated, one had to learn the language of the rich land. As for the aboriginals, they were locked up in the exhibition garden for normal people to watch and admire. Morning. How long? A loud explosion spread out from Laozhan City. Hu Luo came outside Lin Fan's room and knocked on the door. Brother Lin, not good. The Alliance is invaded. Wake up. When the commotion spread out, Lin Fan woke up. Lin Fan had already woken up and excitedly pushed open the door. Where were they? Damn, this was just too exciting. He thought that he would have to wait for a period of time, but who knew that they would come at the right time? Very quickly, a few of them gathered up. Hu Luo said solemnly, "It is tough for us to head to the battlefield, but we have a mission. We need to find those Alliance members who escaped. They will wear similar clothes to us, so once we see them, we have to differentiate them. At the same time, pay attention to safety." Where is Brother Lin? The moment he said this, he realized that Lin Fan was gone. He was still there when they gathered. So how did he disappear in the blink of an eye? Brother Lin, where are you? Hu Luo searched, but after searching for a long while, he didn't see him. Long San said, "I told you that it is the first time you meet someone. So how can you believe them? If he is afraid, then that is his problem. Let's move." Hu Luo was helpless, but he had no choice. He could only nod his head. Let's go. They knew that they weren't strong enough and couldn't enter the battlefield. But some Alliance members would sneak into their territory, so their mission was to find those people. When Lin Fan left the courtyard and moved quickly, many people in the city had left. Basically, they were all heading in that direction. He was so emotional that he was about to jump up. The chance was right in front of him. If he didn't grab this chance, then he would be really dumb. "Kid, this isn't a place you can go. Go back." The old man noticed Lin Fan and wanted him to leave. It was really dangerous, and it was normal for people to die. Lin Fan looked at him and smiled. Under the old man's shocked gaze, he flew into the air and turned his head. "Old man, don't look down on the young." He left without turning his head, although it was silent. But that special background music rang out. The old man opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but stopped. I don't know how to fly. P.S. I'm going out to eat." This chapter is only 2,000 words. When I return, I will write another 4,000 words. Sorry. Chapter 265. Lin Fan thought about the battle between Laozhan City and the Alliance many times, but when he arrived, he realized that it wasn't like what he imagined. Both sides didn't clash. He mixed into the crowd and squeezed to the front. Make way, make way. Please make way." He squeezed through the crowd and gained a small amount of rage points, just a few dozen. It was obvious that this made them feel uncomfortable. They felt like this kid was impolite. Why did he keep squeezing to the front? Was he so arrogant? Lin Fan didn't want to argue with all the uncles, aunties, old men, and old grannies. He squeezed to the front, and this was the first time he saw someone from the Alliance. In the front row of everyone from Laozhan City, there was an old man standing there. Even if there was no wind, his shirt and white hair were waving in the wind. Acting cool. He didn't want to act cool, but his strength didn't allow him not to. That was roughly what he meant. Zhao Lishan, decades have passed, so why are you still defending here? Is there really no one left? Or is there no one left who has the ability to defend Laozhan City? The Alliance person who spoke was really old, but he was obviously familiar with Zhao Lishan. Maybe he was an old enemy. Meeting him once again made him feel really annoyed. Like he was saying that he couldn't change the person. It had been him for so many years. Was there a need for that? I will defend this place, so don't even think about going over. Zhao Lishan said coldly. Even if he was old, he didn't back down at all. It was obvious that he was going to fight to the death with him. The Alliance old man smiled. The same thing again. Can't you change it? Look at all of you. What do all of you look like? All of you have been defending this place for so many years. Who did you do that for? Who remembers all of you? Who thinks about all of your hardships? You were just a bunch of sad fellows. Lin Fan realized that the people around were furious. They whispered to one another and scolded furiously. But their voices were really soft, like they were worried about something. Zhao Lishan didn't say anything. He wasn't good at expressing himself with words, so when the other party said so much, he could only reply with one sentence, "Don't even think about going over." This kind of powerless words could be used to reject the other party. Zhao Lishan, I heard that when you were young, your brain had problems and you stuttered. People mocked you for 10 years, and then you were cured. You aren't good with words. You're still defending this place that mocked you for 10 years. Should I say that you are a dog? Or how should I say it? You should be a scum. The Alliance old man smiled and said words that infuriated everyone around. However, Zhao Lishan's expression didn't change in the slightest, as if he didn't take this matter to heart. In fact, only he knew that he really couldn't beat the other party in cursing. Damn it, these guys dare to use words to humiliate Master Zhao. When the battle starts, I'll definitely teach them a lesson. At this moment, a discordant voice was heard. You retarded hairless old man. These words spread out in the crowd, causing the Alliance old man's expression to change. It was obvious that he didn't expect someone to scold him. Who is it? Step out. The Alliance old man hollered in rage. He didn't find the person who dared to insult him, but his heart was about to explode. Instantly, a figure appeared beside Zhao Lishan. Needless to say, this figure was Lin Fan. He appeared beside Zhao Lishan not because he wanted to console him, but because he was afraid in his heart. Later on, he was going to shout at Lin Fan. With his strength, if he attacked, it was a problem whether or not he could block it. This was why standing beside him was the safest. At least when danger arrived, there would be someone beside him to block for him. I was the one who said that. You balding old man, what do you want to do? Tell me, what indescribable things do you want to do to me? I can give you a chance to perform. Lin Fan was really stubborn. It wasn't that he was strong enough to look down on the bunch of people in front of him, but he felt that there were people helping him. If he couldn't handle it, then he would let them handle it. The Alliance members who followed were all furious. This fellow actually dared to say such arrogant words to a 9-star general. Did he really want to die? Rage points plus 999, rage points plus 999. Ayaya. His heart felt really bad and he couldn't take it anymore. Unbearable. It was really unbearable. Instantly, it increased by 80,000 rage points. Oh my god. Even if he blew up his home, he wouldn't get so many, right? You are asking to die. The Alliance old man was furious and attacked right away. The aura he gave off was really extraordinary. The space cracked and many patterns appeared. This was a power that exceeded many levels. Lin Fan felt that luckily he was smart, otherwise, without an expert to block for him, he would have really died. Pum. As expected, Zhao Lishan didn't disappoint Lin Fan. He raised his hand and slapped forwards clashing with his strength. The space shook and shattered. The space really shattered, and it wasn't just an exaggeration. Great! The people of Laozhan City cheered. Who knew if they were cheering for Lin Fan or Zhao Lishan? Anyway, their morale was high. Such a chance is rare. If I don't grab it, I might not have another chance in the future. Lin Fan thought about it and very quickly made a decision. With an expert beside him, he would just scold them and then retreat. It would be really stable. Son, do you see that? With your little strength, you dare to cause trouble here. You didn't drink enough milk when you were young, or were you born disabled? You don't have any strength at all. I think you should just go home and sell your butts. Lin Fan hollered fearlessly. He felt that it wasn't enough, so he pulled out his blade and slashed. Of course, the blade energy was useless, but to Lin Fan, it didn't matter. He just needed to let them know that he treated them like *T. The rest wasn't important at all. Kid, you're not bad, but you should back off and leave this to me. Zhao Lishan opened his mouth. Maybe because he had been provoked for too long, he was filled with rage and didn't know how to reply. Now that he saw the 9-star general stomping in rage, he felt much better. Rage points plus 999. Another 80,000 plus. As expected, group taunts were the most overbearing, but it was just too dangerous. If not for this elder helping him, he would have been sliced up into pieces. Maybe not even a single piece of him would have been left. A battle erupted. Lin Fan instantly retreated and distanced himself from the battlefield. It wasn't that he was afraid, but that the Alliance old man was staring at him. There was also a suppression that caused the space around to twist. But Zhao Lishan blocked it. This was why it didn't overflow. If not, with his strength, it would have been a dream for him to survive under that suppression. Damn, as expected, I was too arrogant and became his target. Lin Fan was terrified and worried. These people were so bad. They just said a few words and they wanted to kill him. They had no tolerance at all. The Laozhan City experts clashed with the Alliance experts. The battle was really intense, and it was going to be a bloody battle. If they wanted to open up a passage through the crack, then it would be useless. Only by sending experts to open it up would they be able to succeed. More and more people came out from the Alliance crack. Most of them avoided the battle and headed into the distance. But the Laozhan City experts locked onto them, and naturally, they wouldn't let them run. He saw old Master Wang, the old man whose son was killed by the Alliance. He was really strong. On the battlefield, one couldn't see the weakness of an old man at all. Instead, a shocking light wrapped around his body. The weapon in his hand was shocking too. It was actually a fan. An old man with a fan, it didn't seem right. Lin Fan could only think of one possibility. That fan was old Master Wang's son's weapon, and old Master Wang was using his son's weapon to kill Alliance members. I am still too weak. He stood in the air and frowned. He was really too weak, so weak that he couldn't even interfere in the battle. The experts in Laozhan City weren't nurtured by a single person or gathered by a single person. To Lin Fan, the Imperial Dynasty had always been trash. They couldn't even wipe out 9-Bug Gang. So how could they not be? So, the Imperial Dynasty gathered these experts to fight against the Alliance? That was just a fool's dream. Therefore, he believed that these powerhouses came of their own volition for the sake of their so-called lofty ideals. Teacher Chen came out from the crack and mixed into the crowd, successfully avoiding the natives' pursuit. Guys, do you see this wig and clothes? It's really uncomfortable to wear them. I don't know what these natives are thinking. How can they wear such ugly clothes? Did they evolve from lowly beings? That's right. What's wrong with them? He dissed the equipment. Amazing, Teacher Chun. Aren't you afraid that those fools who are calling for peace will report you for using such insulting words to insult these low-class natives? Incisive, truly incisive. The surrounding environment is not bad. I really want this place to become our territory. In the future, we can come here to travel. Teacher Chun, plant the flag. This place belongs to the Alliance. Kill all these low-grade natives. Suddenly, Teacher Chun wanted to brag to his fans, but a furious shout spread out from behind him. Stop, who are you? Huluo hollered in rage. They came to check, and as expected, they found their target. Teacher Chun smiled. Guys, I seem to have been noticed by these natives. The moment he said this, he turned around and pointed the equipment at Hu Luo and the others. There was a sudden uproar in the live broadcast room. Natives, I didn't expect to actually see natives. Moreover, there are 4 of them. Teacher Chun, capture them and bring them back. I will pay a huge price. Do you see that native? She's a girl. She has a round face and big eyes. She is so cute. I really want to inject positive energy into her. Teacher Chun, take out your pointer and use it to motivate this girl. I will give you alliance gifts. Huluo looked at him warily. Who are you? Teacher Chun was helpless and shrugged his shoulders. Who? Until now? You still can't tell who I am? Or are you natives really so low class? Uproar. Huluo held a curved blade in his hand, and the people behind him took out their weapons too. Huluo, be careful. This fellow isn't simple. Yang Shun said warily. I know. Huluo's breathing became rushed. Although he didn't know his cultivation, his calm expression made him feel huge pressure. He just hoped that he wasn't too strong. Lung Sin took a look, and his expression changed. He hollered, Leave. This alliance member is really strong, and we are no match for him. Bring Shi-Chi and leave. Teacher Chun smiled and said towards the equipment, Look, who said that these natives are low class? They have realized that they're no match for us. What do you all think? Do you want to kill them instantly or torture them? Shwa shwa. The screen was filled with scenes of torture, tearing off their clothes and torturing them. These male natives opened their eyes and looked at how their female natives were humiliated, whipped, and filled with energy. Teacher Chin smiled. I have already asked for your opinions, but none of you are going to say anything. Instantly, the alliance gifts exploded. Okay, I will respect your opinions. Once we leave this place, the signal will be cut. I will show you how terrifying the strongest 4-star Teacher Chun of Guangwu College is. Teacher Chin smiled and said. He then looked towards Hu Luo with a dark and sunken gaze. Very quickly, not long later, pung, 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 pung. For people smashed onto the giant tree and blood spurted out from their mouths. Hu Luo looked at him in disbelief. His eyes were filled with shock. This was a God Essence Realm expert. How could he miss out on a God Essence Realm expert? Pata! Teacher Chun stepped on Yang Shun's head, deforming the black round hat on his head. Yang Shun tried to lift Teacher Chin's foot. Don't step on my hat. His expression was filled with rage, but in front of absolute strength, he had no way to fight back. Teacher Chin said towards the equipment, Did you all see that? What I used just now was my unique leg technique. These aboriginals couldn't even withstand a single blow and were defeated in an instant. Right now, the aboriginals I'm stepping on are trying to lift up my leg. They look like they're struggling like ants. These natives are very sad. We have already broken through their language, but they don't know our language at all. Every word that I, Teacher Chun, am saying is very mysterious to them. Oh, that's right. Their language is called Chinese. It's a very ordinary language. You guys have learned something new. Now we are in front of this female native. Not bad. She's really cute. If we bring her back, maybe we can sell her for a good price. What do you all want to see? Take off her clothes? No. I am a 4-star teacher from Guangwu College. How can I do such a thing? But these people are not the same species as us, so maybe I can satisfy your request. Teacher Chun grabbed Lu Siki's hair and placed her face in front of the equipment. Pata, let go of your dirty hands. Lung San grabbed Teacher Chin's ankle. He raised his head and shouted in rage. Pung. Teacher Chun kicked Lung San to the side. Just now, this native told me to let go of his dirty hands. It seems like they are connected just like the animals we raise. Within the equipment. Wow, such a cute native. Even if she is an animal, I can do it. Teacher Chun, I'm a student from Guangwu College. Don't you think that you are too much? No matter what, they are lives, you shouldn't do that. Silence. Kick her out of the room. His actions were like flowing water, and he didn't hesitate at all. Guys, Teacher Chin doesn't like fools to appear in his room. If I find out which student she is, I will definitely expel her. Teacher Chin said. Overbearing Teacher Chun. Right, we like Teacher Chun. We just want to see torture. Charge, charge, torture the natives, torture them. Hung long. Suddenly, two people landed from the sky, causing a thick dust storm. Lin Fan's knees pressed on the back of an alliance member, pressing him down from the sky. He smashed into the ground and created a giant hole. With a kacha, the alliance member raised his head and spat out a mouthful of blood. His spine broke. Teacher Chen looked at those scenes and was stunned. What happened? There was a commotion in the equipment, too. They exclaimed. They were curious. What was going on? Damn, you didn't even give me face. Lin Fan pressed down on the alliance expert whose life and death were unknown. He smacked the back of his head in rage. But suddenly, there was a situation around. He raised his head and blinked. He looked at the foreign environment and some familiar people. What were they doing? P.S. This female character was wanted by a book friend, so she would live for a long time. Yeah, that should be the case. Chapter 266. That was what happened. The situation on the battlefield was a little chaotic. There were too many experts, and he knew that his strength was a little weak. Although he wanted to help, he had to know his own limits. He couldn't just ignore his own strength and rush up to fight with the experts for the so-called protection. Even if he wanted to die, he shouldn't have done so. Moreover, he felt that he was a talented person. As long as he lived well, one day he would become a peak expert. It wasn't worth it for him to die for no reason. When he saw some people who were weaker than him chasing in another direction, he felt that he might be able to help, so he also chased after them. Who knew that just like that, he would chase up to a God Essence realm expert. He was running, and he was chasing behind. He shouted for him to stop, but the other party didn't give him any face at all. He even started to run. Pooey, does this filthy, cowardly thing only know how to run? So, after chasing for a while, when he caught up, he directly suppressed him. He didn't give him any face at all. He just suppressed him. Now, the surrounding situation was a little foreign. Brother Lin, run. Go back and inform them that a God Essence Realm Alliance expert has come out. Hu Luo's face turned red as he shouted. He was really anxious. If Brother Lin came, the outcome would be the same. He wouldn't be his match at all. Teacher Chun was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. He said to the equipment, I didn't expect another low-grade native to send himself to me. Wah, this fellow is so handsome. He is much more handsome than the other natives. Look at his eyes, he is stunned. Does he not know what is going on? Ha. Lin Fan looked at Hu Luo and then at Teacher Chen. What was going on? Hu Luo and the others were in trouble and were directly knocked to the ground by 1 versus 4. His strength was a little weak, right? Hey, old uncle, could you please remove your foot from my friend? Lin Fan said. This alliance expert stepped on Yang Shun's head. That wasn't good. That was bullying. Also, why was he grabbing that cute girl's hair? Was it that excessive? Teacher Chen smiled and muttered to himself. Teacher Chun came to Rich Land to show the students the situation here and also to bring glory to Guangwu College. Who knew that these natives would send themselves to me? Teacher Chun is in a tough spot. As he spoke, he actually showed a helpless expression, as if what he said was true. Did you hear what I said? Are you deaf? Do you not understand human language? Lin Fan walked towards Teacher Chun. He was curious about the device in his hand. That guy seemed to be talking to the device. Could this be? He didn't dare to imagine it, but he was really curious. Teacher Chun, that silly native is coming over. Mother of asterisk cur. I hate guys who are more handsome than me the most. Teacher Chun disfigured him. Teacher Chun, I'm willing to pay a high price. I only ask that you bring this native back and sell him to me. Teacher Chen looked at the message in the device and was thinking about what to do. Should he kill these natives or bring them back to earn some money? The things needed for cultivation were all expensive. Now that he had entered the rich land, whether it was the things here or the natives, they were all very valuable. This was especially true for the higher quality ones. They were even more expensive. Lin Fan's appearance made some fat women in the alliance, who couldn't even eat their own people, excited. They would bring him back and train him slowly. They would definitely feel good. Brother Lin, don't be rash. Run, we will block them for you. Go back and inform the seniors in the city to save us. Hu Luo said anxiously. He didn't expect Brother Lin to not run, and instead walk towards them. He was really anxious and didn't know what to do. Lung Sen looked at Lin Fan in shock. He wasn't worried for Lin Fan, but he realized that Lin Fan had fallen from the sky and landed on the ground. There was a corpse in the deep hole. He was an expert. All of them had misjudged him. Okay, Teacher Chun is willing to fulfill your wishes. There are a total of 5 natives, so Teacher Chun will bring them back. The highest bidder will get them. But before that, I will let you see how strong the strongest teacher in Guangwu College is. Teacher Chun just needs one finger to crush these natives. Watch carefully. The moment he said that, Teacher Chun attacked. His aura swelled. He stood on one leg and swept forwards. The air was swept up and formed a terrifying aura. Yeah, the power of the whip leg was really terrifying. If a normal person stood there, they would definitely... Gotcha! Tom seemed to have slowed down. The legs seemed to have been struck by something and bent. At the same time, there was the sound of bones breaking. Looking closely, it turned out that Lin Fan had punched Teacher Chen's knee. It was just a simple punch, but it had broken Teacher Chen's knee. Mr. Chun grabbed his broken leg and screamed in agony. His eyes were filled with disbelief, as if he had seen a ghost. Hu Luo's mouth opened wide. His jaw was about to dislocate. He was stunned. To them, an extremely strong alliance expert actually had his leg broken by Brother Lin in one punch. What was going on? Why was he so quick? Lin Fan picked up the device and flipped it around. He realized that this thing was like a phone, but it was much more high-end. He felt like this was the screen of a broadcast. There were many words that he didn't understand. It looked like Pinyin, but when he looked closely, it wasn't. What language was this? What happened? What happened to Teacher Chun? I have seen a ghost. I have really seen a ghost. Teacher Chun, what happened to you? That scream definitely came from Teacher Chun. When they saw that the face was that of a native, they were all stunned. They all knew that something bad had happened to Teacher Chun. Hi, idiots. Lin Fan was really familiar with broadcasts. In the past, he often watched 3 Taoists. But when 3 Taoists fell, he left. Logically speaking, when he said such insulting words, the people watching the broadcast would definitely be furious. They would then crazily give him rage points. But he realized that there weren't any. Even if there were, they were really weak rage points. Is it because of the language gap and they don't understand what I'm saying? Lin Fan thought about it and felt like that was possible. Before that, he looked at Hu Luo and the others and asked, "Are you all okay?" Although he wasn't familiar with them, Hu Luo was a decent person. He liked such people and didn't mind interacting with one another. Who knows, maybe they could become friends in the future. Brother Lin, we are fine. We just didn't expect you to be so strong. Hu Luo said. If he didn't personally witness it, he wouldn't dare to believe it. He was around their age, but his strength was just too terrifying. Lin Fan smiled. Didn't I tell you that I am the Marshall Path Mountain sect leader? As sect leaders, how can you be weak? Hu Luo nodded his head. His respect for Lin Fan increased by a lot. Heal up, I will deal with some things. Lin Fan walked in front of Teacher Chun. Looking at his tragic appearance, he couldn't take it anymore. How old was he? Just a broken leg. Was there a need to make such a huge fuss? Lin Fan knelt down and patted his face. If you dare to shout again, I will take your life. Instantly, Teacher Chun stopped shouting. The shock in his eyes was real, and there was nothing fake about it. He sat beside Teacher Chun and held his shoulder. He placed the equipment in front of them, and their faces appeared. Let me ask you, what did a fool say? Lin Fan asked. Teacher Chun bore with the pain. Hashtag yin% Sila. Lin Fan grabbed Teacher Chun's hair and actually ripped off his wig. He raged. Do you think I'm a fool? Fool only said 2 words. How many did you say? Rage points plus 999 rage points plus 66 rage points plus 12 rage points plus 33. Lin Fan was confused. What was going on? What was going on? Who could tell him who was the one who gave him these weak rage points? Were the people watching the broadcast all weaklings? Teacher Chun bore with the pain. I am the strongest 4-star teacher in Guangwu College. What do you want? I think you should let me go. Now that our people have seen this, if you kill me, I can guarantee that when our people arrive, you won't be able to run. Lin Fan waved at Hu Luo and told him to take the equipment. He then pressed Teacher Chen to the ground and beat him up. The comments rolled. Their hearts hurt for Teacher Chen. Seeing the natives bully their beloved Teacher Chen, they felt really sad. Why did this happen? This was the strongest 4-star teacher, their mental pillar. They still had to watch Teacher Chen kill. So how could he die just like that? Rage points plus 999 rage points plus 11 rage points plus 12. A very small amount of rage points. It wasn't as satisfying as shouting on the battlefield. Lin Fan was really annoyed. He thought that he could earn a huge amount, but who knew that it would be so sad and pitiful? He searched for the fan points on the screen. He finally found something similar. Over 3,000. F***CK. This is what a small-time streamer is like. He has so few fans that he can't even be seen. He looked at Teacher Chen. His gaze turned sharp, as if a murderous intent was about to explode from him. Lin Fan was thinking about how to maximize the benefits. If he killed him just like that, it would be a huge loss. He slowly understood what the Alliance had. It should be the world closest to his last life. The sense of familiarity, of being from the same hometown, those didn't exist. If he knew a little about the situation, he would have a better plan. I can't kill him quickly. If this fellow is famous, as long as I torture him, I'll be able to attract a huge amount of rage points. Lin Fan already had an idea. It seemed like that was the only way. Chapter 267. Brother Lin, let's leave. Hu Luo suggested for Lin Fan to leave with them. The Alliance experts were here, and they weren't sure whether or not there were other Alliance experts hiding around. Lu Siki was furious when he grabbed his head. He walked in front of Teacher Chen and kicked him. Who asked you to grab my hair? Who asked you to grab my hair? Yang Shun took off his hat and cleaned it up. He used his sleeves to wipe off the dust on it. Lung San was calm, but his gaze towards Teacher Chen was filled with terrifying killing intent. It was obvious that he wanted to kill him. Lin Fan raised his middle finger at the equipment. Since they didn't understand each other's language, he hoped that he could incur their rage. However, something awkward happened. He didn't care at all. Could it be that this iconic act of humiliation was no longer working? Lin Fan wrapped his arm around Teacher Chen's shoulder, and the two of them looked at the screen. He said helplessly, "Why do you only have so few fans? Don't you find it embarrassing?" Teacher Chen looked at Lin Fan in shock. The words of the other party had him feeling that this indigenous being seemed to know something. If words didn't work, then he could only use his actions to make him feel fear. Not long later, Teacher Chen grabbed his clothes and hollered, "What are you doing? Let go. What do you want to do?" He felt afraid, like he was about to be violated. Sila. Instantly, Lin Fan ripped off Teacher Chen's clothes. Lu Siki turned his head and covered his eyes. He then separated 2 fingers and peeked. Long Sin blocked in front of Lu Siki. "Don't look, it will dirty your eyes." Rage points plus 999. Teacher Chen's face flushed red and rage burned in his heart. As the strongest 4-star teacher in Guangwu College, he was actually stripped by the native and exposed on the platform. The screen was filled with comments. "You know who you are. The native is so amazing. Do they have no gender? Teacher Chen is about to be abused, but why am I so excited? Teacher Chen, use your pinching technique to slice him apart when he enters." Shua. Lin Fan picked up the sword and placed it in an indescribable place. "Tell them that you are a bunch of trash. If you dare to say anything else, I will swing my sword down." Teacher Chen shuddered. He could already feel the coldness of the blade against his skin. If the other party's hand trembled, that thing would really be gone. "GG goo goo." Teacher Chen said something that Lin Fan didn't understand. Instantly, the bullet screen became even more intense. Rage points plus 33 rage points plus 44 rage points plus 12. What a bunch of lowly people. Could it be that only the weak would become keyboard warriors? These rage points were basically negligible. There were even many people who didn't have any rage points at all. "I'm really disappointed in you." Lin Fan looked at Teacher Chen. He thought that it would be easy to earn rage points from him, but who knew that he would be so weak? Could it be that she had to help him attract more fans? Accumulate enough fans? It didn't feel realistic. He didn't have the time to help her attract fans. Teacher Chen looked at Lin Fan in fear. Lin Fan's eyes were filled with a terrifying light. He felt like Lin Fan wanted to use him as an example. Over at the Alliance, many people were spreading news about Guangwu College's 4-star teacher entering the rich land and being suppressed by the natives. But very quickly, the content was blocked. It was obvious that someone was covering everything up. Did they not want the people to know that the Alliance experts couldn't beat the natives? Or was it because the scenes were unsightly and had a bad influence on the teens, which was why they blocked it? Big brother, we have no grievances with each other. I was forced to come here. As a 4-star teacher, I have always advocated peaceful coexistence. Teacher Chen's tone changed. How would he dare to act cool anymore? Even if he wanted to act cool, he had to look at the current situation. Lin Fan didn't bother about him and was in deep thought. What should he do? After a long while, Lin Fan opened his mouth. Why do you have so few fans? He really felt that this was a good chance. But since Lin Fan didn't support him, what could he do? He felt really helpless. He didn't need a lot. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands would do. He didn't ask for a few million. Teacher Chen didn't expect that a native would talk to him about such things. If he knew that this was the case, he would have gone to buy some zombie fans. Pata! The screen instantly turned black. A line of words floated across. You have broken the rules of the Alliance platform and are suspected of breaking the rules. You have been temporarily banned. Shua! Lin Fan looked at Teacher Chen, and Teacher Chen looked back at Lin Fan with a dumbfounded expression. This had happened too suddenly, and even he hadn't expected it. You can't blame me. You stripped me naked, which is why the Alliance platform banned me. Teacher Chen's voice trembled. He felt that Lin Fan was filled with killing intent towards him. Just by sensing his aura, he could sense it. Holy **T. Alliance platform, you are just too vicious. I am a 4-star teacher of Guangwu College and am in danger. You don't help to persuade me and actually ban my platform. Aren't you forcing him to kill me? Heavens earth. I have served you until now, but now you don't even care about me. That is just too much. There is nothing else. Lin Fan was helpless. He was thinking of a way but didn't expect things to turn out like this. It seemed like streaming wouldn't work. Huluo, let's go. Lin Fan said. Huluo wanted to leave long ago. He felt that it was really dangerous here as he didn't know what terrifying scenes would happen next. If more experts came, then the outcome would be catastrophic. Teacher Chen heaved a sigh of relief and felt like he had dodged a calamity. But suddenly, a sword light flashed. He felt like a part of his body was ripped open and fresh blood spurted out. His limbs were broken and they separated from his body. A wound appeared on his neck and large amounts of fresh blood spurted out. Rage points plus 999. In the end, he was merciful and didn't kill him. He gave him hope to live, and at the same time, he gave him hope to hate him. Perhaps this was the reason why kind-hearted people were so easily hurt by others. Huluo's eyes opened wide as he looked at the Alliance member in the pool of blood. His limbs were sliced off. His neck was about to be sliced open and large amounts of fresh blood flowed. Based on the situation, he wouldn't be able to live for long. Brother Lin Fan waved his hands calmly. Forget it, let him live. Huluo dissed in his heart. Oh my God, was he letting him live? This was a complete bloodletting to see how long the other party could last. He was speechless and didn't know what words to use to describe it. Really, if not for Brother Lin's solemn expression, he would have believed it. Rage points plus 999. Teacher Chen laid there in rage, but he didn't move at all. His mind slowly blurred, but he tried his best to stay awake. However, it was too difficult. It was just too difficult. He heard that before one died, everything that happened in the past would be filtered in one's mind. He regretted it. He shouldn't have come to rich land to stream. Far away from Laozhan City, the space shook and the sounds of killing spread out. Who knows how many people will die this time? Huluo was sad. At the same time, he felt that he was too weak and regretted not being able to help. Lin Fan looked into the distance, and a helpless expression appeared on his face. He really wanted to help, but he knew that with his own strength, the possibility of surviving in that chaotic battle was too low. There were no Void Realm experts there, and they didn't dare to say that they could protect themselves. As for God Essence Realm experts, they probably wouldn't even dare to enter. When a battle reached its peak, it would be impossible for anyone to exist within several miles of the expert. Everyone would consciously avoid the expert, as that terrifying aura was enough to tear them to shreds. Even if they were so far away, he could sense a terrifying aura sweeping towards him. However, he was confident that in just a short time, his strength would grow to a point where no one dared to underestimate him. How he wished he could go back to that group of people and mock them. That was the real place to get rich. What dog's its dream? It was just trash. Just thinking about it made his head hurt. Brother Lin, we can't return to the city yet. This battle is more intense than before, and there will definitely be many Alliance members sneaking in. Let's head there to search and find all of them. Hu Luo said. Can your injuries support your movements? Lin Fan asked. These people were a little fierce. Their cultivation wasn't high, but all of them were as fierce as tigers and didn't show any fear at all. Hu Luo said, no problem, we can do it. We can persist. They are facing enemies stronger than us. Although we aren't strong, we won't retreat. Then let's go. Lin Fan wasn't in a rush to return. Since that was the case, then he would head over. Maybe he could even gain a wave of rage points. One definitely couldn't get close to the center of the high-end battle as the ripples were too strong and affected a huge area. Lin Fan and the others followed the small path and searched for those weird fellows. It is really intense. Lin Fan looked around and was shocked. Were Void Realm and 5-element realm above God Essence Realm really so strong? He was so far away and he could still feel it. Obviously, this was too unexpected. Pung. Suddenly, in the distance, a person was forced back. His body smashed numerous giant trees and struck towards Hu Luo. Lin Fan pulled Hu Luo to his side. In an instant, that person passed where Hu Luo was standing and smashed into a giant stone, leaving a deep hole. Hu Luo's pupils constricted and he looked at the person in the hole. Brother Li. Brother Li's face was bleeding. He opened his eyes and said weakly, that is an Alliance member, don't let him run. All of you stay here and take care of him. I will chase him. Lin Fan stopped Hu Luo and the others who were about to charge over. When the Alliance member saw Lin Fan and the others, he didn't head over. He turned around and fled into the distance. Chapter 268. Lin Fan stuck close to the ground and flew really quickly. He came here to earn rage points, but slowly, he realized that some things weren't so easy to avoid. It was like he'd been swept into some terrifying matter. Wong. Lin Fan raised his hand, and many swords floated behind him. They were formed from true essence and had terrifying destructive power. 10,000 Sword Path. Sword Palace Elder Hanqing's sword technique was really good. Very quickly, hundreds of swords appeared on his back. They were extremely sharp. He waved his hand, and with a xiao, hundreds of swords broke through the air and locked onto the Alliance member who was running. Grandmaster Cultivation? He seemed really weak. The Alliance expert sensed the changes behind him and turned his head. When he saw the scenes behind him, his eyes opened wide like he had seen a ghost. Xiao! A god sword didn't hit him and landed on the ground. The ground was sliced open like it was proving to the Alliance members how terrifying that sword was. Damn! The Alliance expert nearly cursed out loud. Where did such a terrifying expert come from? How did he get targeted by such an expert? What were the Alliance experts doing? Didn't they say that they would restrict all the experts in Laozhan City? Xiao! Xiao! The sword landed. Even if the Alliance expert wanted to dodge, it would depend on whether or not he had the ability to do so. Pucci! The sword pierced his legs and pinned him to the ground. With a thud, he fell to the ground and screamed. He struggled and tried to break free, but shortly after, many swords landed and pierced his arms and shoulders, pinning him to the ground. The Alliance expert shouted in his heart, "Save me! Who can save me? I regret it. I want to live. I don't want to come here. Pata. Lin Fan landed in front of him and grabbed his head. He raised his head and said, "Look at my face and remember what I look like. Just direct all your anger at me." His actions were just too arrogant. But he had no choice. It was just too difficult to earn rage points. The Alliance member who was pierced by the sword remembered Lin Fan's face in his heart. Rage points plus 999. Not bad. Lin Fan used a little strength and pressed his head onto the ground. That was a humiliating action. He then raised his head and looked into the distance. There were people fighting everywhere. If it was possible, he wouldn't mind rushing in and fighting with them. There was a bang. He left the spot right away. As for the Alliance member who was pierced by the sword, after his rage points reached the limit, it was time for the Death God to reap his harvest. In midair, Lin Fan floated there, not moving for the time being. It was as though he was accumulating something. But when he took a closer look, he realized that there were already more true energy swords appearing behind him. Poof! Poof! Divine swords appeared one after another, glowing with the divine light of true essence. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. It was still increasing. If it was placed on anyone else, no one would have such ability, or rather, no one would have such surging true essence. After a long time, with 10,000 divine swords hovering behind him, he felt that it was about time. If he continued, it would only be a waste of time. He saw two experts fighting in the air, and for the time being, they were equally matched. The battle between the Alliance and Laozhan City experts was really intense. At the same time, their cultivation was much stronger than Lin Fan's. "Laozhan City expert, please move aside," Lin Fan hollered. When the Laozhan City expert heard that, he retreated without hesitation. Xiao! Xiao! Numerous true essence swords turned into streaks of light that struck towards the Alliance expert. "Kid, amazing!" The Laozhan City expert was impressed. He then used the chance to recover his stamina. Lin Fan smiled. "I will take over later. I have to go help elsewhere." "Understood." Dang dang. The Alliance expert crossed his arms in front of him, and a light veil appeared. The true essence sword struck it and didn't give him a chance at all. Damn! Damn! The Alliance expert was furious. Someone suddenly sneak attacked him. When he saw the aura, he was shocked. After all, the commotion was just too terrifying. He thought that it was a terrifying expert, but when he took it head-on, he knew that he had been cheated. The attacks were strong, but they weren't enough to cause any damage to him. The Alliance expert was furious. A terrifying aura exploded and destroyed the sword attacks. Expert attack. Lin Fan shouted. The Laozhan City expert recovered well. He didn't hesitate and continued to fight. When Lin Fan left, he looked at the Alliance expert and smiled. He wasn't afraid that they recognized him. He was afraid that they didn't. Rage points plus 999. Bastard, I will kill you. The Alliance expert wanted to kill Lin Fan, but the Laozhan City expert blocked him. "I am your opponent." "Little brother, thank you." Lin Fan laughed. As expected, it was useful, just like what he expected. Although it was dangerous, at such a time, he could only accumulate rage points and become stronger. "No need to thank me. Just beat the sh*t out of him." He estimated. If he offended all the Alliance experts here, then the rage points would be terrifying. Although he deserved to be beaten up, he had no choice. If he didn't deserve to be beaten up, then why would he make others so furious? Of course, there were some areas where he couldn't enter. Just looking at the twisted space, he knew how dangerous it was. Even if he was a dual cultivator, the gap in realms was too huge. He wouldn't talk about dual cultivation. Only death would be his final destination. At this moment, he noticed a place where he could go and help. When he was prepared to strike, a weird situation occurred. Pucci, the expert from Laozhan City, was ambushed from behind. An arm pierced through his body. However, the expert from Laozhan City didn't retreat at all. He grabbed the person who appeared behind him and strangled the expert in front of him. With a low roar, he charged forward, forcing the people around him to make way for him. The space around him distorted to the extreme, and an explosion rang out. Pung! true essence shook, forming a shockwave that swept everything around. This? Lin Fan was stunned as he looked at the scenes in front of him. Even if his body was pierced with his strength, he could have survived. Why did he choose such a method? Zhao Lishan, you see, casualties are starting to appear. As long as you move aside, I can ensure that there won't be any more casualties. 9-star General and Zhao Lishan's battle was really intense. Seeing that the alliance had suffered so many losses, he started to negotiate. Dream on. Zhao Lishan wasn't good with words and rejected him right away. The 9-star Marshal said angrily, Zhao Lishan, so what if you could defend this place? The other defensive lines will collapse in the end. At that time, your situation will be extremely tragic. You are strong and can escape, but the people behind you will not have the chance to escape even if they want to. Stop talking nonsense with me. Let's fight to the death. Zhao Lishan slashed the sky, and it felt like the entire area was being split open. A terrifying current covered the 9-star General. How long? The two of them affected a huge area. Within this area, the destructive aura surged about. No one dared to enter, otherwise they would definitely die. Lin Fan sucked in a deep breath. This is the reason why Father doesn't want to see me? To fight to the death. Even if I die, I won't retreat. Father told me to leave because he doesn't want me to be dragged into this. In the end, it is because I am too weak. Father doesn't trust me at all and treats me like a useless kid. Okay, I will become stronger. I definitely won't miss this chance. Even if there's a chance of death, I can only try. He stood in midair, and the true essence in his body started to shake. His god body changed. His body size didn't change much, but the power of his body exploded out. Even the air buzzed from the vibrations. Who? Each time he breathed, a ball of mist flew out from his nose and mouth. The true essence swords seemed to have been buffed. He activated all his cultivation techniques, and numerous special internal strength gathered on them. Attack! Xiao! Xiao! Numerous true essence swords broke through the air behind him. They were really dense and covered the sky. Under his guidance, they searched for the Alliance experts. Numerous people were shocked. It wasn't because the aura was terrifying, but because the special effects were just too terrifying. The Alliance expert who had just forced back a native didn't even react when he realized that numerous true essence swords were heading towards him. He raised his hand to block the wave of attacks. Hong Hong. The true essence swords clashed and caused some problems for the Alliance experts. At the same time, they stopped their movements. Damn natives, such small tricks. To Void Realm experts, this was just a small trick. They tore open the space and guided the true essence swords into the space before locking them down. To Lin Fan, who hadn't reached Void Realm, he was unable to control the true essence swords in the space. The connection between the two was instantly broken. Kill this ant. Some Alliance experts who were annoyed by the true essence swords hollered. They wanted to kill Lin Fan. How could the Laozhan City experts not do anything? Protect our little sword god. Damn. Suddenly, he had the title of Little Sword God. But Lin Fan didn't hear it. Otherwise, he would have shouted that he didn't play with the sword and that this was just his hobby. Instantly, Lin Fan could feel a sharp will of the void striking out at him. He ran right away. Although he was prepared to take the risk, he didn't think about fighting him head-on. Just as Lin Fan was about to dodge the attack, the will of the void struck him. It was as though there were countless sharp blades slicing at him without a trace. This was the ability of a Void Realm expert. Lin Fan was only a God Essence realm and couldn't sense how strong Void Realm experts were. He hollered and his god body rose to its peak. However, he was still injured by the void intent and blood spilled everywhere. How terrifying! Lin Fan instantly dodged and fled into the distance. He was in big trouble. Everyone wanted him to die. Chapter 269. Now, he really wanted to sing a song. If this wasn't love, then what did he have to be sad about? The situation was like that. He really wanted to ask, how could this not be love? He was really filled with love towards these alliance members. Even if he angered them, he didn't fear anything. He wanted to be brave. He had to fight to the end. CSI. It was so painful. The space intense surged over, and he dodged it. But the space that was stirred up caused his body to be covered in wounds, and blood splattered in the air. Hung long. The space intent landed on the ground, and the ground cracked, forming a deep hole. Lin Fan fled really quickly, and in the blink of an eye, he left the battlefield. Luckily, the Laozon City Elder helped him block. Otherwise, if the Alliance members followed, he would definitely die. He turned around and heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like he was safe for now. Brother Lin, Hu Luo, saw someone descend from the sky and thought that it was an Alliance member. But when he looked closely, he didn't expect it to be Brother Lin. But Brother Lin's situation was a little off. "Why are you all here?" Lin Fan asked. Were these fellows really fated to meet him? When they separated, they were there, so why did they bump into each other in the blink of an eye? Hu Luo said, "We were searching for Alliance members and just bumped into one. Luckily, he wasn't strong and we killed him." "Brother Lin, your injuries." He was stunned as he looked at Lin Fan's injuries. It was like he was sliced open by something and fresh blood dyed his shirt red. "I am fine. It is just a small injury." Lin Fan was perfectly fine. It was just a little painful at the start, and now the wounds were healing and forming scabs. He was an expert who cultivated both internal and external cultivation. His physical body's recovery ability was very terrifying. "Brother Lin, how is this a small injury?" This is... Before he could finish his words, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. Lin Fan's body shook and the coagulated blood fell off. "You are fine. You are perfectly fine." Hu Luo looked at him closely, and that was indeed the case. He looked at Lin Fan in shock. What kind of person was he to be so terrifying? Lin Fan's expression was solemn. He looked into the distance and said in a low voice, "I wonder how many people will die when it ends." Hu Luo stood at the side and didn't speak. He looked towards the intense battlefield. In order to block the Alliance members outside, the experts of Laozon City were fighting with their lives on the line. To the Laozon City experts, their goal was to block the Alliance experts outside. "Go. Let's continue to search for Alliance members," Lin Fan said. He had to admit that his own strength could not be compared to those on the battlefield. But those Master Realm, Grandmasters, or God Essence Realm Alliance experts had no problems at all. They could totally crush them. Brother Lin. Hu Luo didn't know what to say. He realized that Brother Lin was too ferocious. His injuries were definitely from something terrifying. Now that he had to search for those people, he really wanted to tell him to go back and rest. The battle between Zhao Lishan and the Alliance's 9-star Marshal had already entered a white-hot state. The collision between the two of them caused terrifying damage to the void. What bunch of lunatics. The 9-star general looked around. The Laozon City experts were like lunatics, charging fearlessly and causing heavy losses to the Alliance. "Retreat," the 9-star general shouted and broke away from the battle. He looked at Zhao Lishan. "Zhao Lishan, wait and see." Instantly, the Alliance experts retreated, but the Laozon City experts didn't think about letting them off so easily. They charged forwards. Damn, to the Alliance experts, they really wanted to spit at the Laozon City experts. Were they sick in the head? Didn't you hear the 9-star general say that they stopped? Why did they charge over so fiercely? Did they really think that they were afraid of them? Don't think about running. The Laozon City experts hollered in rage and chased right away. Some Alliance experts weren't able to react at all and were crushed to the ground by the Laozon City experts. Despicable, shameless. Damn, the Alliance experts hollered in rage and wanted to pounce on them. How could they be so shameless? "Come back." Zhao Lishan stopped them. Stopping now was to reduce the casualties. At the same time, it was to let the Alliance know their attitude. If they wanted to break their defense, they had to step over their corpses. The Laozon City experts listened to Zhao Lishan's orders. They looked fiercely at the Alliance experts like they wanted to swallow them up. "Master Zhao, how can we let them leave so easily? Kill them all here and let them know that Laozon City is a defense line that they can never break." right? The Laozon City experts were filled with killing intent, and they really wanted to keep these people here. Calm down, don't be rash. Zhao Lishan told them to calm down and continue to fight. Both sides would just suffer heavy losses and chase them back. That would be their goal. The 9-star general looked at everyone from Laozon City with a dark and cold gaze. When he saw the Alliance experts retreat to their original spot, he left behind some vicious words and left. All of you listen up. The Alliance has to crush the Laozon City defense line. All of you are just delaying time, and one day you'll understand. Zhao Lishan continued to look at him coldly. He didn't care about what the 9-star general said. To him, guarding MT Mang City was his ultimate goal. Everything else wasn't important. Even if he died, he had to die in Laozon City. Within Laozon City, someone was arranging the corpses. There were many casualties, and many of them were old friends who had lived with them for decades. Now that they had turned into cold corpses, it was a huge blow to them. Brother, rest in peace. I will take revenge for you. Someone sat beside a corpse and lowered his head. Tears flowed down from the corner of his eyes. Such a situation wasn't rare. Some of them cried, but they definitely wouldn't regret it. That was their choice, and when they decided to do so, they knew what the outcome would be. Of course, some were discussing the kid that appeared on the battlefield. To them, the kid was really fierce. They called him Little Sword God. After all, they all saw those scenes. The 10,000 swords swept through the air and brought many problems to the Alliance members. Although the 10,000 swords weren't as strong as expected, to them, this kid was worthy of the title of Little Sword God. I remember that the kid is on the same side as Hu Luo. I saw him too. Didn't Hu Luo bring a kid to register? It seems like there are many young people who aren't afraid of death. Little Sword God is not bad. This kid has a deep understanding of the sword. I feel like it is similar to Sword Palace. Did he come from Sword Palace? That night, in the courtyard. I really earned a lot this time. Lin Fan felt great. He looked at the rage points of the small support system and nearly peed his pants. He said that only by mocking a group could he gain the most rage points. Rage points, 365466. What a terrifying amount of rage points. Maybe this time he could raise his strength to a really high level. The risk was worth it. It was really worth it. Heart cultivation, sword seed, grade 8. This was the heart cultivation technique that Elder Han cultivated. To Lin Fan, it was quite decent. Improve. Consumed 10,000 rage points. Sword seed, grade 9. Sword seed, peak grade 12. Wong. When the sword seed rose to grade 12, there was a shocking change in his body. An eye-catching small sword floated in his body. This was the shocking effect of raising sword seed to the max level. Not bad, not bad. Next is to raise my cultivation. True essence slowly increased from 430. One true essence consumed 3,000 rage points. Consumed 30,000 rage points. True essence, 440, middle god essence realm. The increase in strength made Lin Fan really excited. He felt like his body was filled with power, but this was far from enough. He needed to continue to improve. God Essence Realm Technique, 9 Dragon Technique. It was a mysterious dual cultivation technique. It could improve the God body and also true essence. Consumed 4,000 rage points. 9 Dragon Technique, basics. Instantly, Lin Fan felt a slight change in his true essence and God body. A faint, almost transparent little golden dragon coiled around the surface of his body. He continued to improve. 9 Dragon Technique returning to true. All of a sudden, something shocking happened. With Lin Fan as the center, 9 illusory figures of golden dragons coiled around the surface of his body. They spun continuously as though they were swallowing something up. As expected, some techniques are really strong. Lin Fan exclaimed. He realized that the techniques that his father kept were really overpowered. Just this 9 Dragon Technique alone made him feel like his strength had increased by a lot. Be it true essence or God body, they were all greatly improved. Improve. God body, 450, peak God essence realm, improve. True essence, 450, peak God essence realm. 60,000 rage points were consumed right away. He felt like his strength had reached a terrifying level. Internal and external cultivation, raising true essence and God body to peak God essence realm. The power that his body contained was really shocking. Based on Lin Fan's thoughts, the next step would be the most crucial one. He would have to know just how much power would be required to step into the void realm. Ripping open space wasn't something that a normal person could do. Or rather, this power had reached a certain extreme. Consumed 6,000 rage points. Cold City 4 Destruction, Basics. Consumed 11,000 rage points. Cold City 4 Destruction, returning to true, instantly. Lin Fan felt that there was a shocking change around him. Flames were boiling. Water was surging. The soil was tumbling and rolling. Trees were growing. Although these were all illusions, they seemed to represent 4 special attributes. God body cultivation technique. This time I will definitely be able to raise my strength to initial void realm. Lin Fan was filled with hope and felt like he was going to soar into the heavens. Chapter 270. Hu Luo and the others helped out in the city. Laozhan City was quieter at night. They buried the people who were sacrificed. To Hu Luo and the others, this was the first time in 20 years that someone close to them had died. It wasn't that they couldn't accept it, but when it really happened, it was a huge blow to their souls. Hu Luo, the little sword god who is with you, is not bad. A middle-aged man patted Hu Luo's shoulder and said, "Ah." Hu Luo was stunned and didn't understand what he meant. He asked curiously, "Uncle Shun, what do you mean? What little sword god?" Uncle Shun looked at Hu Luo with a weird expression like he didn't expect that he actually didn't know. "The kid that you brought to the city." Yang Shun raised his head and asked, "Uncle Shun, are you talking about Brother Lin? Anyways, is the kid who is with you. Today he is amazing. His sword techniques are amazing and his courage is praiseworthy." He appeared beside Master Zhao and scolded the Alliance 9-star general. He even used 10,000 swords to join the battle. Even if the Alliance experts chased him, he didn't fear them at all. Uncle Shun said, "Huh?" Hu Luo looked at Uncle Shun with his mouth agape like he was listening to a book from heaven. "Uncle Shun, are you joking with me? What kind of joke is that?" Everyone saw it for themselves. Uncle Shun said. At that moment, Hu Luo suddenly thought about where the wounds on Brother Lin's body came from. At that moment, respect rose up in his heart. It was obvious that he didn't expect Brother Lin to be so brave. It was totally unexpected. To be able to be called Little Sword God by the seniors in Laozhan City was something to be proud of. Alliance meeting. The 9-star general led the experts to clash with Laozhan City to test their strength. The outcome was shocking. To break through Laozhan City's defense line, they didn't have enough experts and needed more. But the Alliance headquarters was unhappy with this trip. Teacher Chin's live stream was blocked by the Alliance headquarters. They weren't strong enough and were suppressed by the enemy. It was obvious that the Alliance was dispirited. Therefore, such behavior was naturally strangled in the cradle. As for Guangwu College losing a 4-star teacher, naturally it made them furious, but more than that, they felt embarrassed. As a teacher, he was actually so weak that was a huge loss of face for Guangwu College. Meanwhile, the latest news was out, which was that Alliance members were prohibited from bringing broadcast equipment into the rich land. In case the Teacher Chen incident happened again, it would have a negative impact on the Alliance. In the courtyard of Laozhan City. Is this the strength of the void interpretation realm? Lin Fan floated in the air and used up all his rage points. He finally raised his true essence and God body to void realm. He raised his hand and slowly moved his fingers. With a ripping sound, a tear appeared in the air, as though a piece of cloth had been torn apart. The void within the fissure was pitch black, but there were spots of light flickering. It was extremely resplendent, as though it was a galaxy in the universe. When he raised his divine body to the void realm, the door in his mind opened completely. It was as though he no longer had any restrictions. Everything became very mysterious. Now, he felt that his strength wasn't something that God Essence Realm could compare to. The gap between the two could be said to be like heaven and earth and couldn't be described with words. To be more direct, it was like the difference between an ant and an elephant. The difference in height meant that one would look at problems differently too. It seems like I can open up my own dimension to store things. Lin Fan felt like he had to slowly explore some things. How would he be able to understand it right away? He tried to open up the dimension, but realized that it was really unstable. It was like he was trying to form a connection with himself. The problem was huge, and it wasn't as simple as he thought. Brother Lin. At that moment, Hu Luo's voice spread in from outside. Listening closely, he felt that the voice was curious and excited. Lin Fan landed slowly. Gradually, his control over his strength made him even more confident. Why did you come to find me at this time? Lin Fan was really curious. Hu Luo and the other's strength couldn't be compared to his, but one had to say that they were different from other young people. Kachi, he pushed the door open. What happened? Lin Fan looked at Hu Luo and the others and asked curiously. Why did Hu Luo seem more excited than him? Hu Luo said excitedly, Little Sword God. Ah. Lin Fan was stunned as he looked at Hu Luo. He actually didn't understand what he meant. Little Sword God? Who was he calling? Hu Luo noticed Lin Fan's confused expression and said, Brother Lin, you have a nickname now. When you fought with the Alliance members in the day, they called you Little Sword God. At the start, I didn't know who they were calling him. They said that he was with me, so I knew that it was Brother Lin. Lin Fan's mouth was agape. He was a little dumbfounded. Little Sword God? Why did he feel like that was a little weird? Lu Shiqi said excitedly, I didn't expect us to have such an amazing person beside us. How old are you? Are you an old monster? I heard that some old monsters have high cultivation and can turn young. If not, you're around the same age as us. So how can you be so strong? Shiqi, what are you thinking about? How can Brother Lin be an old monster? He's around the same age as us. Yang Shun said. Lungsen noticed that Shiqi was so excited about Lin Fan and felt a sense of danger. But he was expressionless and no one could tell that there was anything wrong with him. Wait. Lin Fan raised his hand. Who thought of this for me? Don't you think that Little Sword God doesn't sound good? That was indeed the case. If it was Sword God, then it was okay. But why was it Little Sword God? He felt like he was a scum. In the day, the special effects were too exaggerated, so people thought that he was a sword expert. That was really unfair. This was just a hobby that he played around with. He couldn't take it seriously at all. He hadn't even mentioned that he was actually very familiar with the way of the sword. If they saw him play with the blade, then wouldn't they call him Little Blade God? So, this matter was a bit of a headache. Hu Luo said, Brother Lin, how can it not sound good? Who in Laozhan City doesn't know about your nickname? I heard them say that you actually scolded the Alliance's 9-star general. So amazing that I didn't dare to believe it. Lin Fan was a little helpless. It seemed like he was too high profile. He had just come to Laozhan City for a few days, and he actually had such a title. Forget it. No matter how an outstanding person tries to hide himself, he will always shine. After a while, Hu Luo felt that it was late, so he didn't continue and told Lin Fan to rest. Lin Fan returned to his room and continued to study the Void Realm ability. The next day, when Lin Fan walked around Laozhan City, people actually recognized him and called him Little Sword God. This made him feel a little helpless. He really wanted to tell all the big shots not to call him Little Sword God. This title wasn't much. Unfortunately, he had no choice. People already treated him as the Little Sword God. There were even people who patted Lin Fan's shoulder and praised him. To have such strength at such a young age was really rare, or perhaps they had never seen it before. What else could Lin Fan say? He could only accept it. After all, no matter what, it sounded like they were praising him. He was waiting for the Alliance members to arrive. It was a waste that he wasn't able to join in the battle yesterday. If he reached Void Realm, although he was only at the initial stage, he believed that with his strength, he could even crush peak experts. As for what 5-element realm was like, he was unfamiliar with it. He hadn't fought it before, so he was really unfamiliar with it. He left Laozhan City and strolled around. He wanted to see what the border area of Laozhan City looked like. When he arrived, he saw many experts guarding there. They were all really old, and there were basically no young people at all. Maybe this was because the experts were all old and the young were weak. They didn't have the ability to guard the border at all. He noticed that the border barrier was like a ripple. Was that the Alliance? A little sword god is here. I still remember what happened yesterday. How bold. An old man smiled and then said to the people around, "Come take a look. This is the heroic little sword god from yesterday." The moment he said this, instantly, many people gathered around. Lin Fan was a little shy and felt that this was too sudden. It was like he had instantly become famous. He knew that he was an outstanding person, and it was normal for him to be the center of attention. But he knew that since his strength rose to God Essence Realm or Void Realm, the level he interacted with in the future would be different. The world of those young people wasn't suitable for him anymore. He should be interacting with those old men on the same level. After all, he had no choice because of his strength. Lin Fan smiled. "Thank you all for your help yesterday. Otherwise, with my strength, I would have died to those Alliance members. Don't worry, little sword god. They won't be able to hurt you unless they step over our corpses." An old man smiled. Lin Fan walked to the side of a bunch of elders and asked about Alliance matters. We learned that these people lived in Laozhan City and disguised themselves as normal people. He was shocked. When he saw the situation in Laozhan City, he thought back to U City. If he hadn't personally experienced it, it would have been hard to imagine. In the end, the people around him knew what he was doing and what he had to protect. Only he didn't know who the people around him were and what kind of strength they had. He treated them as normal people. This was why it was so awkward. Little sword god. At this moment, Zhao Lishan walked over and looked at Lin Fan with shock in his eyes. It was obvious that he didn't expect Lin Fan to have such cultivation at such a young age. That was unbelievable. Chapter 271. Senior Zhao. The person who came was Zhao Lishan, the strongest expert in Laozhan City and also the commander to defend against the Alliance. Although he felt good about himself, naturally, he wouldn't be arrogant towards Senior Zhao. He greeted him with respect. Zhao Lishan looked at Lin Fan and nodded his head. "You are young and talented. When I was your age, I was only Martial Path Grade 10. Your future is limitless." "Thank you, Senior Zhao, for your praise. I was just lucky and had a few fortuitous encounters," Lin Fan said humbly. What else could he say? He had to tell him that he had a small support system, and that cultivation was really simple. It was as simple as eating and drinking. If he really said that, he was really afraid that he would be captured and beaten up. "We didn't ask you how you cultivated so quickly, so why did you have to brag to us?" The surrounding experts looked at Lin Fan with no hint of jealousy, only envy. Up till now, they had been cultivating one step at a time and hadn't had many opportunities. To think that this little sword god would have so many opportunities. His luck was just too crazy, wasn't it? When Zhao Lishan looked at Lin Fan, it was like he saw hope. The situation was really serious. The Alliance stared aggressively, and Zhao Lishan felt huge pressure at every moment. If the Laozhan City defense line was shattered, then he would be the biggest sinner. Lin Fan followed Zhao Lishan and walked to the border. "I heard that you came from Jiang City and are the Martial Path Mountain sect leader," Zhao Lishan asked. Lin Fan said, "I came from Jiang City. When I learned about this, I met 3 Alliance members on the way and fought with them. I learned about the situation here, so I came to take a look. I hope that I can help." Zhao Lishan exclaimed, "Haze, if everyone could be like you, then Alliance wouldn't be a problem. The people in Laozhan City might look like that, but actually, they were all geniuses of various sections. They came willingly to Laozhan City and live a boring life for others." Lin Fan stood at the side and nodded his head. He comprehended what Zhao Lishan said. That was indeed the case. Those that were able to cultivate to the void interpretation realm and above, even if they were rather old, were already considered to be geniuses. However, looking at the current appearance of these people, it was truly impossible to imagine that they were once geniuses of some sect. If he stayed in the sect, his position might be extraordinary and he might even become one of the sect's upper echelons. However, they had given up power and glory to come to this remote place. It was truly admirable. The appearance of the Alliance started 100 years ago. 100 years ago, no one knew what they were and no one knew where they came from. At that time, they brought us huge problems and many died. But someone blocked them and paid a huge price to chase them out. 20 years later, Alliance experts appeared once more. To us, the easiest thing to forget is history. Everyone thought that it wouldn't happen, so they didn't care much about it. That time, starting from the border, all the cities in Fuzhou were occupied. Someone stood out and chased them away. After these two incidents, someone cared about it and built cities at the border to defend against them. Lin Fan had never heard about Alliance. Now that he heard about it, he slowly understood many things. Senior Zhao, since they can enter our territory, can't we enter theirs? Lin Fan asked. Zhao Lishan thought about it for a moment. I'm not sure about that. The Alliance has always been the one attacking, and we have been defending at the defense line. We just hope to force them back. It seemed like they didn't think about counterattacking. In Lin Fan's opinion, there was no strategy at all. Only the side that was on the offensive could gain the upper hand. If he was born 10 years earlier, no. If he came here a year earlier, he could use the small support system to raise his cultivation. The Alliance members wouldn't even be a problem. He would be able to crush all of them with one fierce move. Of course, he was filled with respect towards the people in Laozhan City. He really didn't expect that there would actually be people who were willing to be normal people and defend this place. To him, anyone from Laozhan City would be treated as an expert if they went out. Glory, splendor, wealth, and rank were all within his grasp. Thinking about that, he thought back to U City. It seemed like the situation there was similar. The people there weren't simple people. Amazing. They were really amazing. He actually didn't see it. Marshall Path Mountain. With a loud explosion, a low voice spread out. Zhou Zhongmao broke out of seclusion. The effects of the purple gold dragon essence pill were simply too overbearing, and his physique had also been changed by the purple gold dragon essence pill. He now possessed the potential that the Zhao family could only dream of. Martial Path Grade 12 Initial Realm. In such a short time, he crossed realms and reached such a stage. That was enough to be described as terrifying. My cousin isn't back yet? The first thing Zhou Zhongmao did when he came out wasn't to feel the joy of his strength increasing, but to find Go Zi to ask whether or not cousin was back. He wanted to raise his strength quickly so that he could better protect cousin. Go Zi missed young master, but he didn't know where young master went. When he told Zhou Zhongmao that he was in seclusion the last time young master came back, he didn't disturb him. Zhou Zhongmao felt really bad. He felt like he missed out on something important. Zhou Zhongmao wanted to know where cousin went, but even Go Zi didn't know. This made him a little anxious. It was obvious that he was worried whether or not cousin faced danger outside. I'm going to search for cousin, Zhou Zhongmao said firmly and decided to search for cousin. When Feng Poliu knew about the situation, he was helpless. What did he want to do? If he continued, then there would be no one left on Martial Path Mountain. However, once Zhou Zhongmao was sure about something, even 8 horses couldn't pull him back. This was why his decision wouldn't change. Yuan Tianshu felt like Martial Path Mountain was about to disband. Zhang Tianshan's departure made him think about it for a long time. Lin Fan's departure made him think about it for a long time. Now that Zhou Zhongmao was going to leave, then there would be no one left on Martial Path Mountain. Don't tell him that the final winner would be Feng Poliu or Liang Yongqi. That would be really terrifying. Laozhan City. Since he talked to Zhao Lishan, he had a deeper understanding of the Alliance. At the same time, he had a huge understanding of Laozhan City. For example, that old Master Wang who liked to smoke and use a fan as a weapon. When he found out about his background from Zhao Lishan, he was shocked. He was a disciple of a sect who nearly took over the position of sect leader. But because his son was killed during the Alliance invasion 20 years ago, after learning about the situation, he didn't bother about the sect leader position and came to Laozhan City to take revenge for his son. He came for 20 years and didn't leave Laozhan City at all. Every day, he would sit there and smoke and look at the sky in a daze. He regretted his actions. His son told him to head to Laozhan City to defend against the Alliance. He was obsessed with the sect leader position and didn't go. After his son was killed, he was furious and swore to wipe out all the Alliance members. Lin Fan could see that old Master Wang was really fierce. He didn't back down when facing the Alliance members and instead used his life to fight, causing the Alliance members to be terrified. The people here are all heroes. It seems like I can't fall behind. Lin Fan muttered. His original goal was simple, which was to obtain rage points to raise his strength. But now, not only could he raise his strength, but he could also do something meaningful. That was really good. Within the room, he didn't sleep and was sensing the power of the Void Realm. A crack was ripped open in the space in front of him, and the pitch-black space shone brightly. Damn it, how the hell is this storage dimension built? Lin Fan scratched his head, and his head hurt. Even if his thoughts were advanced, it wasn't a problem of it being advanced. It was just that it was foreign. It was really simple for him to use his fist to shatter the space. Wasn't it just to explode with strength and punch? But the situation now was a little complicated. Construct. The damage of the space was a little high. If he placed anything in, it would instantly shatter into pieces. It was really unstable. What should he do to make the space that he opened more stable? This was something that made people feel helpless. Time passed slowly, when the sky turned bright. Done. Lin Fan smiled. After a night of research, he finally succeeded. The space dimension was really stable, and he opened up a dimension that wasn't too small, but also not too big either. He locked down his mind and wrapped the dimension, forming it into a portable dimension bag. He placed the long sword and blade in. He then closed the dimension, and the crack disappeared. One couldn't see any problems at all, but with a thought, his palm reached into the space in front of him. His palm disappeared, and he took out a long sword. There are many more mysteries in the Void Realm. I will slowly study it, and I will definitely find more amazing things. A smile appeared on Lin Fan's face. Right now, he really wanted to fight with a strong opponent. He wanted to test out just how strong he was. He already had a wonderful feeling that any random punch he threw out would have an extremely terrifying power. It was a power that could shatter the void. He pushed open the door. Hu Luo and the others had left Laozhan City and were patrolling outside. They weren't strong, and there was a limit to what they could do. But they could still patrol outside and search for Alliance members that they missed. As for fighting Alliance members at the border, it was too much for them to handle. Maybe it wasn't too much. With their strength, they would be instantly killed. They wouldn't be able to fight back at all. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.